Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto is banished from Konoha and joins Kiri. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by SSJ3 Kyuubi Gohan and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1 Banishment. Naruto was having a terrible day so far. First, he had arrived back to the Leaf Village only to find out he was banished. Secondly, he found out that since Tsunade was not sworn in yet, she couldn't help him out in any way. Thirdly, he found out that he had to leave the village by midnight, tonight. I just can't believe this. Shouted Naruto in frustration. Naruto, around the age of 15, was walking down the street in a rage, glaring at the path in front of him. He had blonde spiky hair, deep blue eyes and 3 whisker-like marks on each of his cheeks. He wore an orange jumpsuit and was about 1.5 meters in height with a small build. I do nothing but give my all for this village, and what does it do? Throw it in my face and kick me out. Guess it's a good thing I'm leaving, I might finally be able to get some respect. Thought Naruto as he arrived at his lopsided and rundown apartment complex, which only he inhabited. Naruto let himself in, closing the door behind him before slumping down onto his frayed brown couch. Naruto sat there thinking about what he was going to do before he heard a knock at his door. "Ugh, who is it?" groaned Naruto. "It's Kakashi," replied a voice. "I come in, the door is open," said Naruto despondently. The man wearing a mask and a leaf forehead protector covering his left eye, who was garbed in the standard leaf shinobi outfit along with iron-plated gloves, entered the dwelling. "Hey Naruto, how are you holding up?" asked Kakashi, aloof as ever. "How do you think?" responded Naruto bitterly. Kakashi for his part allowed some of his sadness to show, indicated by his small sigh. "Sensei, if you could only see what they are doing to your son, you would turn over in your grave," thought Kakashi. "Cheer up Naruto, you might be getting banished, but I've got something here that might raise your spirits," said Kakashi as he pulled out 3 small pieces of paper. "Paper? Wow," said Naruto sarcastically. "No, not just paper, chakra paper," said Kakashi with an eye smile. "What does it do?" asked Naruto, mildly interested as noted by him sitting up a bit straighter. "Well, you know how Sasuke can use fire jutsu and I can use lightning, well, among other things," questioned Kakashi. "Yeah," replied Naruto. "Well, this will let me know what your affinity is. After all, I was going to train you all in your affinities soon, but, well with your banishment, this can no longer happen," said Kakashi with a sheepish chuckle. "Gee thanks," replied Naruto sourly. "So I figured as a going away present, I would test your affinity and give you a jutsu for that affinity, so you have at least some guidance concerning elemental jutsu before you leave," said Kakashi, causing Naruto to brighten up. "Really? Thanks a lot, Kakashi-sensei," said Naruto happily as he grabbed a piece of paper. "Now all you have to do is pump some chakra into it and it will reveal your affinity, although if you are lucky, you might have 2, said Kakashi. Naruto concentrated and focused his chakra into the paper, at which point, it split into 6 pieces. 1 crumbled, 1 became soaked, and another burnt up in a flame. Although that surprised Kakashi, the next few shocked him. 1 turned into lava and hardened, 1 dissolved out of existence, and the last piece turned into ice. "So how was that, Kakashi-sensei?" asked Naruto curiously. Naruto, you wouldn't mind doing that again, would you?" asked Kakashi as he held out another piece of the chakra paper. Naruto just shrugged and did it again, getting the same result as before. "Well?" asked Naruto. Kakashi snapped out of his stupor and looked at Naruto. "Well, it would seem as though you possess 4 out of the 5 basic affinities and have 3 advanced nature bloodlines, lava release, boil release, and ice release," said Kakashi in mild awe. "Wow, I'm so awesome," said Naruto. "For once, I agree with you Naruto, those natures are all very impressive. With some training, you could become a real powerhouse," said Kakashi. At this Naruto's excitement deflated a little. "But, if I'm being banished, who will train me?" asked Naruto in sadness. "Well, I did say I would give you a jutsu for your affinities, although for the lava, ice and boil release, you will probably have to go to the mist to find someone to train you," said Kakashi. "Alright, thanks a lot," said Naruto. "Oh, and Naruto, take care of yourself. I know I didn't teach you much, but I do know that you have the guts to never give up, and that will take you far," said Kakashi with an eye smile, before he used a body flicker and left Naruto to pack. Line break. Naruto was packed up and ready to leave. He had a small backpack on his back and a few scrolls attached to his pants. As he walked down the street, he remembered all the pranks he had pulled. As he passed his favorite ramen stand, he started to feel depressed, knowing that he will never get to eat there again. "Oh well, nothing I can do now, I'm just going to have to do my best to become the strongest," thought Naruto as he approached the gate. As he arrived, he saw there were 5 figures waiting for him. Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shizune, Kakashi and Iruka had all come to wish him well. Jiraiya stepped forward first and gave Naruto 3 scrolls and a book. Naruto, those scrolls contain all I know about sealing techniques as well as letter from your parents, and I assume, some of their skills which made them famous. I was going to tell you about them when you reach Jounin as I am your godfather, but now that you are banished, well, I guess at least now you can learn about your family, said Jiraiya solemnly. Naruto was slightly upset, yet also happy that he found out that Jiraiya was his godfather. He understood that he had lots of important duties as a Sannin and a spy master and therefore couldn't have been there for him when he was a child. Naruto hugged him and said thanks, godfather. Jiraiya hugged him back before letting go. Also, that book I gave you was my first ever written. Both your parents seemed to like it as they named you after the hero, said Jiraiya. Naruto's eyes glistened with tears as he was overcome with emotion, but he didn't let a single tear fall. He nodded as Jiraiya stepped back and Tsunade came forward. Tsunade knelt down to Naruto's level and gave him a deep hug. I know that this village banishing you isn't fair, but all this means is that you have to become a great shinobi to show them what they missed out on. Okay. Said Tsunade as she stood back up. Don't worry, I'll make sure that this village will never forget that they lost Naruto Uzumaki, said Naruto with fire in his eyes. As Tsunade stepped back, Shizune came forward and hugged Naruto as well and gave him a small medical kit. Iruka then came forward and hugged Naruto as well. Naruto, make sure you take care of yourself. Okay. Said Iruka. Naruto nodded and smiled. Lastly, Kakashi came forward with 4 scrolls. Well, I did say I would give you a jutsu for each of your affinities, but understandably, I have no lava, ice or boil jutsus. Instead, I've got a wind, fire, water and earth technique for you. Wind style. Great breakthrough, fire style. Fireball jutsu, water style. Water wall and earth style. Hidden wall jutsu. The first 2 are offensive, and if you combine them together with your clones, will be very hard to stop. The other 2 are for defensive purposes, said Kakashi as he handed them over. Thanks Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto. Naruto put the scrolls in his backpack and with a final wave, walked towards the gate and out of the village. There goes the truest inheritor of the will of fire, said Iruka. You're right, and this village can't even see it, stupid fool, said Jiraiya before he walked away. Line break. In an underground base. Line break. Well, Lord Danzo, when shall we make our move on the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? Asked a masked individual wearing what appeared to be the standard Anbu uniform. The only difference was the mask was plain white with no decorations or symbols. Soon, first we must let it get a decent distance away from the leaf so as to not draw suspicion to ourselves for the Jinchuriki, said Danzo. Danzo appeared to be a frail old man. He had black shaggy hair and his right eye was bandaged. Danzo also had an X-shaped scar on his chin. He wore a white shirt with a black robe over the top of it covering his feet to just over his right shoulder. Despite his decrepit appearance, Danzo was anything but weak, having orchestrated Naruto's expulsion from the village with ease, and it was almost time for him to strike. Line break. Naruto had trudged through almost a kilometer of grassland before he decided to take a break. He sat down and pulled out a scroll which had the word father written on it. Naruto tried to open the scroll, but it wouldn't budge. What the hell, pervy sage? Shouted Naruto in anger, which quickly turned to a wince when he cut his hand on a low-hanging tree branch. Naruto cradled his hand as a drop of blood fell onto the scroll. Fortunately, as he was angry, he was subconsciously channeling chakra, so it opened. Guess I need to use my blood to open these scrolls. Thought Naruto as he started reading. Dear Naruto. Naruto, I am your father, Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage. First off, I am truly sorry for sealing the fox inside you. I can only hope the village sees you as the hero I wanted you to be seen as. However, I am also the Hokage and not entirely naive. If you were treated badly, I am sorry and only hope you don't blame the villagers. They are ignorant and fearful and unable to understand anything as complex as sealing. In fact, your mother is the only reason I became any good at sealing, but I digress. I have left you the notes for my Flying Thunder God technique and the Rasengan. I hope that Jiraiya has taught you the Rasengan by now. My ultimate goal was to merge an element with it, so now I leave that task up to you, son. Know that no matter what, I will always be proud of you, even if you decide to turn on the leaf, I won't blame you. Although as Hokage I would be against it, as your father I would understand. Sincerely. Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage. Naruto was quite surprised his father was the 4th Hokage, but honestly, it made a lot of sense to Naruto, as why would a random child be trusted with such great power? He then quickly searched for the other scroll which had the word mother written on it. He then bit his thumb and swiped it over the word mother and pushed chakra into the scroll with his bloody hand, causing it to open. Dear Naruto. Hey son, it's your mum. Oh, wait, you probably got that from the scroll. Anyway, my name is Kushina Uzumaki. I hope you didn't suffer too much in your life, because unlike your father, I know people won't accept you and will fear you, seeing as how I was the second host of the Fox and saw how the few who knew and weren't my friends acted towards me. If you turn against the village I won't blame you, they probably deserved it. Anyway, I left you some of my unique Uzumaki sealing techniques that both your father and Jiraiya would die to have. I have also entrusted you with all of my sealing knowledge, being the last of the Uzumaki clan. Sorry that you were stuck with such a burden, and even if your father is an idiot, I hope in time you can come to forgive us. Love. Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto was crying slightly as he now knew who his parents were and that they loved him. Naruto saw it was getting late and decided to camp there for the night. He then pulled out the 4 scrolls Kakashi gave him and made 3 clones. He handed them the fire, water and earth scrolls and took the wind scroll himself. Okay, you guys read through this and tell me what it says to do when you're done, ordered Naruto. You got it, boss, said the 3 in unison. After an hour of reading, all had finished reading their respective scrolls. Okay, give me the basics of it, said Naruto. The one who read the water scroll went to speak before the one who read the fire one interrupted. Well, it says here you have to do a special exercise to be able to mold fire nature chakra, said the clone. I was also going to say that about water nature chakra before I was cut off, said the other clone as it glared at the clone which had just spoken. Naruto just watched as 2 of his clones glared at the other before the clone which read the earth scroll pushed them both. Both fell forward, jabbing themselves into a low-hanging tree branch and dispelled, causing the clone and the original Naruto to stagger from an information overload. Whoa, did you just feel all that? Asked the last clone. Yeah, dispel yourself, ordered the original. The clone dispelled and Naruto was hit with another burst of information. Naruto then gave a face-splitting grin and used his signature jutsu. Shadow Clone Jutsu, said Naruto as 400 clones appeared. Half the clones grabbed a leaf for each of them. 100 tried to split them while the other 100 tried to burn them. The other set of clones also split up into 2 groups, with one group trying to meld with the earth, while the others each tried to make the water rise up from a lake nearby. The original Naruto started to do a series of push-ups and squats to improve his physical strength. Line break. 3 hours later. Line break. Most of the clones had dispelled, having made little to no progress as of yet. Naruto himself was almost unconscious due to the intense physical and mental strain he had placed on himself. Well, pant, I guess I'm done for now, said Naruto as he passed out. Line break. The next day. Line break. Naruto woke up refreshed and ready to go, but therein lay the problem. Aw man, I don't know where the village hidden in the mist is, said Naruto. He decided that since he knew where Wave was, he would go there for now and hopefully get instructions from there. He was passing the place where his team had met Zabuza for the first time when 2 Anbu with plain white masks dropped down in front of him. Naruto Uzumaki, you are to come with us, said one of the Anbu. Wait a minute, I got banished, which means the leaf doesn't want me. What are you trying to pull? Asked Naruto with narrowed eyes. The Anbu, instead of answering, quickly made hand signs before calling his jutsu. Water style. Water whip jutsu. A thin piece of water extended from the Anbu's hand which he then flicked, which caused the whip to lunge at Naruto. Naruto jumped back and made his signature hand sign, causing 12 clones to appear. 8 rushed the Anbu, 4 for each of them. The 4 who stayed back started to make a Rasengan but found that with 3 clones making 1 Rasengan, with the 4th maintaining its shape, it came out almost twice as big. All 4 charged at one of the Anbu and slammed the big Rasengan into him. Giant Rasengan! Shouted the 4 clones as the Anbu was plowed into the ground and killed almost instantly. The rest of the clones converged on the last remaining Anbu and attacked. 5 kicked him up into the air while saying Naruto. 2 clones then jumped up and formed a Rasengan which they slammed into the airborne Anbu while shouting Rasengan slam, which destroyed the Anbu. As the dust cleared, a smashed log was revealed. Crap, said the original, as all his clones were incinerated in a ball of fire. The Anbu then charged at Naruto, drawing a tipless Tanto. Naruto pulled out a kunai which he pushed against the slash of the Tanto, but found he was being overpowered. Naruto then jumped back and summoned 1 clone to his side, who he had throw him to the side. The Anbu slashed the clone, causing it to dispel. Crap, I don't have that many techniques to use against this guy aside from those he has already seen. Thought Naruto in a panic. Naruto quickly did a few hand signs he saw in his fire and coincidentally, the earth scroll, hoping for the best. Fire style. Fireball jutsu, called Naruto. The Anbu, having heard this, made a wall of water, but what neither expected was for a blob of lava to be launched instead of fire. The molten rock easily broke through the water due to its insane temperature and slammed into the Anbu, burning a hole through his torso where his lungs would have been, killing him instantly. Naruto breathed heavily at having to use such a powerful jutsu and then threw up, knowing he had just killed 2 people quite gruesomely. Line break. Naruto journeyed on, barely able to stay awake until he arrived at Tazuna's house. He knocked on the door and waited before Tsunami opened the door. Knowing he would be relatively safe for now, Naruto passed out on Tsunami, who quickly called for Inari and Tazuna. Line break. Lord Danzo, it seems as though the Kyuubi Jinchuriki evaded capture, said the same figure which had reported to Danzo last time. Danzo frowned slightly before closing his eyes. Send out for this time, we must capture it before it gets too far away, said Danzo. The figure bowed before leaving to fulfill Danzo's command. Soon I shall have all I need to become Hokage and protect the leaf, thought Danzo as he closed his eyes. Chapter 2 Naruto's growth. Naruto awoke to find himself in the same room his sensei had been placed in previously during their mission to the Land of Waves. The memory of what Naruto had done before his dash to wave caught up with him, causing him to feel sickened and ashamed. Naruto sat up and ran his hands through his head. I killed them. I really killed them. Brutally at that, thought Naruto as his grip on his hair tightened. Naruto could not accept that because of him, 2 people were now dead. Does this mean that I really am a monster? Wondered Naruto in trepidation. He was interrupted from his musings by the sound of footsteps. Tazuna looked no different than the last time Naruto saw him, aside from the fact that his face held a worried frown. How are you feeling, kid? Asked Tazuna. Honestly, like a murderer, said Naruto as he gripped the thin sheet sprawled around his legs instead of his hair. Tazuna frowned at the response, but Naruto, who was staring down at his sheet, missed it completely. I don't see a murderer, said Tazuna, prompting Naruto to raise his head slightly. You also didn't see the lifeless body of the person who you just killed, laying there on the floor, spilling blood out of a massive open chest cavity, replied Naruto in a haunted tone. Tazuna grimaced at such a gruesome and vivid picture, but knew that if he didn't snap Naruto out of his depression now, he may take his own life if someone didn't help him, as the ninja was highly unpredictable. Look kid, I've been around for many years now, and I've seen and heard a lot, said Tazuna in a slightly reflective tone, which prompted Naruto to look him in the face. People kill, and people get killed, it is a way of life, said Tazuna solemnly. Naruto seemed to be on the verge of crawling inside himself, so Tazuna quickened his words so as to be able to reach Naruto before he became a shell of a person. The point I'm trying to make is that these things will happen, but they don't make you any less human, said Tazuna. Naruto looked at him with a glazed look before speaking. Have you ever killed someone? Naruto asked. No, but many have. They didn't become shells of their former selves, such as your sensei, or did you forget about that? Replied Tazuna. Truthfully, Naruto had forgotten. Not just about that though, Naruto forgot one very important thing. He was a ninja. He knew ninja killed and faced the danger of being killed, but the bad memories of his past caused him to forget that piece of information. But how do I move past this? Forget about the lives I have taken? Asked Naruto, seeking guidance through Tazuna. Tazuna sighed before taking off his glasses and wiping the lenses on the scarf around his neck. He breathed in slightly before putting them back on and leveling a stern expression at Naruto. To be honest, I don't know, said Tazuna, which caused Naruto to clench the sheet again. However, I do know that you need to find a way to cope with it. Well, I never killed anyone. To cope with the oppression of Geto and death of my son-in-law and of my grandson's innocence, I drink, said Tazuna, somewhat upset. Naruto absorbed this piece of information, and with it came many revelations. Tsunade's drinking, Jireya's peeping, Kakashi and his porn, Asuma's smoking, Sasuke's obsession with revenge. Actually, that last one probably didn't apply, as Sasuke was like that before killing anyone. Naruto looked up and realized he had been thinking for a while now, while Tazuna has simply waited for a reaction. Thanks, Tazuna, said Naruto, with a small yet genuine smile. So brat, you never said what you were doing here, stated Tazuna. Guess you're right, said Naruto, as he scratched his head sheepishly. Well? Asked Tazuna with a raised eyebrow. Whatever Tazuna was expecting, he certainly didn't expect what Naruto was going to say next. Oh, I got banished, said Naruto sadly. What? Shouted Tazuna in shock and surprise. Yeah, I was heading to the village hidden in the mist before I was attacked. Only thing was, when I was walking, I realized that I had no idea where mist is, said Naruto. Well, I could give you a map of the area. It shows Wave and the neighboring villages around it, including the general location of Mist, which is in the Land of Water, said Tazuna. Really? That would be awesome, said Naruto in elation. Tazuna smiled, glad to have you back, kid. Thought Tazuna before he left Naruto to pack. Line break. Naruto had packed up his things, making sure he had everything with him from the leaf, as well as some vegetable sushi that Tsunami had made for him quickly, and the map Tazuna had given him. Naruto was heading west to the edge of Wave through a forest which had barely any light getting through the canopy, as the trees were so clustered together. Since he didn't have a lot of money with him and didn't want to borrow from Tazuna after his abrupt visit, he decided to run across the water from Wave to the Land of Water. He figured that with his insane reserves he could make it. Wow, said Naruto in awe as emerged at a clearing. He looked upon a vast ocean glittering in the sunlight. There was not a lot of separation between the forest and the ocean, only having 1 meter of sand between them. Naruto sat down and quickly pulled out 2 vegetable sushi which he ate at a sedate pace while admiring the beauty of nature. As he finished them, he stood up and dusted his hands, letting the crumbs fall to the ground. He tightened his backpack and made sure all his scrolls were firmly affixed to his waist. Well, here goes, thought Naruto as he started channeling chakra to his feet. He took a step onto the water before looking behind him. I won't be seeing land for a while, thought Naruto before he turned around and started running on the water towards the land of water. Line break. Naruto ran for hours until the majesty of nature he observed before his run became an endless expanse of blue nothingness. Ugh, how far is it? Thought Naruto in boredom. Through his boredom, however, he never noticed the 3-meter wave approaching him from the left until it was right above him. Afu, Naruto started to say before the wave hit him and knocked him out. Line break. It could have been seconds or even days, as Naruto had no idea how long he was knocked out for. All he knew when he woke up was that he reached land. Wohoo, land! Exclaimed Naruto as he stood up and pumped his fist. Naruto started to run forward, believing he had arrived at the land of water, but slowly realized something. Wait a minute. If this is the land of water, why is everything in ruins? Said Naruto aloud. In fact, ruins was putting it mildly. What remained of the buildings was cracked and broken, with most having been leveled to their very foundations. Not a single tree of the few present were standing, and many of the boulders around were smashed with deep gouges in them. Man, it looks like a war zone here, said Naruto as he walked through the destruction. The further in Naruto walked, the worse the scenery looked until he arrived at a completely barren area with deep gouges going through the ground. Unbeknownst to Naruto, had he looked at the ground from a higher vantage point, he would have seen the very same symbol on his back gouged into the ground. Well, might as well eat something, said Naruto as he sat down. He pulled out an apple from his bag and a kunai from the pouch on his leg and started peeling the apple. He ate his first apple and then pulled out another as he wasn't full yet. As he peeled the second apple, he accidentally cut his thumb. Well, that's irritating, said Naruto as he looked at his thumb and noticed the cut wasn't deep but was long, going from the tip of his thumb to the base of it. Naruto flicked his hand to get rid of the blood while some landed on a gouge in the land. Naruto stood up and shouldered his backpack while quickly devouring the apple. Well, I guess I should, began Naruto before he felt dizzy and disoriented for a minute. Oh, finished Naruto as he blinked in confusion. Instead of seeing the barren wasteland he had just been sitting on, he now stood in front of a broken steel gate. The gate encircled what Naruto found reminiscent of the village hidden in the leaves. The buildings looked abandoned but seemed to be in relatively good shape. Naruto walked past the gate and around the buildings. For some reason, he felt drawn to the central building which reminded him of the Hokage Tower. The front door of the tower was made from silver and had 2 red whirlpools carved into where doorknobs would have normally been. Wonder if this works the same way as the scrolls I got, said Naruto as he bit his thumb and wiped it across both swirls while pushing chakra through his thumb. The door opened inwards, allowing Naruto to see that the inside of the tower was relatively untouched. The wooden floor was painted a dark orange in color, the walls were red, and the ceiling was bright yellow. There was a small desk in the center of the room with a small lamp on it and 2 staircases on the side behind it, one to the left and one to the right. Naruto walked up the staircase to the right and passed 3 levels before reaching the top of the tower. He saw a swirl on the center of the only door on the 4th level. Naruto once again bit his thumb and swiped it across the swirl while channeling chakra. The door opened and Naruto walked in. As he took his first step in, he felt a shiver run through his spine. He then instinctually jumped forward as a golem dropped down right where he had been standing previously. The golem was rather simple, with a circular torso and head, with a single eye in the middle of its forehead, 2 arms, and 2 legs which were left uncovered. In its right hand it held a sword and in its left a scroll. Naruto stared at the golem, and the golem stared back at him before putting the scroll it was holding down in front of it. Naruto cautiously approached the scroll and grasped it. He unfurled it and looked at it. The golem then shattered and turned into dust. That was weird, thought Naruto as he started to read the scroll. The only thing in the scroll was a map of the room with a wall circled. Naruto walked over to the wall where the circled section should have been and saw a bookcase. He stood next to the bookcase and slowly pushed it away. After he moved the bookcase out of the way, he saw a swirl on the wall. By now, he knew exactly what to do and bit his thumb to draw blood once again. Man, I'm going to lose so much blood if this is the only way to get around, thought Naruto as he swiped his hand across the wall. The wall rose and revealed a small space large enough to hold a small child. Inside the space was a rather long scroll. It was about as thick as the heaven scroll he had in the Chunin exams but was almost 2 meters long. Naruto carefully removed it before opening it up on the floor. It looked like the scroll Jiraiya had Naruto signed to summon the toads. Naruto followed the same procedure he did last time, but unlike last time, after he signed his name, he felt his legs burn before he closed his eyes and screamed in pain. Line break. When Naruto opened his eyes, he found himself on a largely uninhabited island which was surrounded by mountains. At the center of the area was a small bubbling pit reaching almost 10 meters in diameter. Naruto had no idea what happened to him and wandered closer to the pit, hoping to get some clue as to where he was. As he approached the pit, he saw that it was shining with all the colors of the rainbow at random. "Wow, that's so cool," said Naruto in awe. As he finished speaking, a snout broke the surface of the water. Naruto jumped back and drew a kunai. The snout was followed by an eye, then a head, before the body of the dragon burst from the pit. The scales and eyes of the dragon glittered in a rainbow of colors. It had 2 spines on the back of its head which were a meter in length. It possessed smaller scales down its back and head, while its tail had none. Its tail was 4 meters in length, which combined with the 6 meters of its body, gave the 10-meter dragon a rather imposing presence. Its underbelly didn't show as many colors as the rest of its body and seemed to resemble the daytime sky, as it was a pale blue, with white and yellow flecks running through it. Its eyes were slitted and its 30-centimeter white teeth were shining brightly, which eerily reminded Naruto of Lee. The dragon came forward, flapping his wings, which allowed Naruto to see its wingspan was 5 meters wide, with a meter-length spine on the top of each wing. Naruto backed up while the dragon came forward and landed in front of Naruto, before looked at him with a piercing gaze. "Child, do you know where you are?" inquired the dragon in a deep baritone. Naruto was startled that it spoke and dropped his kunai in surprise. "Well, no," said Naruto abashed. "Well, you are in the summoning realm of the dragons. Based on your lack of knowledge of where you are, I assume the Uzumaki clan is gone," said the dragon. "Yeah, I can't be sure, but I think I am the last one as I have never seen another Uzumaki before," said Naruto. The dragon closed its eyes in what Naruto perceived to be thought. After some time, the dragon came up with an idea and brought its tail forward before touching Naruto's forehead. Naruto was instantly bombarded with memories which were not his own. Naruto saw some red-headed people riding on dragons while making rapid brush strokes on paper. He saw different colored dragons, some being emerald in color, while others sparkled like diamonds. He saw many other memories, some of red-headed people using strange weapons, while others used a wide variety of jutsus, some similar to the lava ball he used against the Anbu, ice spears similar to the ones Haku could use. While others used a mist which literally dissolved the flesh and bones of invaders. "Whoa," said Naruto, as the dragon removed his tail from Naruto's head. "Yes, whoa indeed. What you just saw were the deeds of your ancestors and my fellow dragon brethren. You will notice that not all looked as I do, as there are 7 distinct types of dragons. Dragons such as me are capable of utilizing wind and ice techniques. Other dragons can use other techniques, but I believe they should tell you about their techniques themselves," said the dragon as Naruto recovered. "Oh, by the way, my name is Naruto Uzumaki," said Naruto, as he stuck his hand out to shake. "The Peru," said the dragon as it brought forward an appendage, with 4 claws jutting over what appeared to be fingers, to shake Naruto's hand, easily dwarfing it. "So can you teach me about how to use wind and ice techniques?" asked Naruto. The pair nodded before motioning Naruto towards the lake. "To start with, you need to freeze that lake for ice and split it for wind. Best you get started now," said Peru. Naruto walked over to the lake and made his signature hand sign, causing 50 clones to appear. "Let's do it," said Naruto, before he and his clones proceeded to try and freeze and split the lake. He has lots of potential," thought Peru as he watched Naruto. Line break. 3 months later, in the Leaf Village. Line break. "What do you mean you don't know where he is?" shouted Tsunade at Jiraiya, who was looking at her solemnly from his seat on the windowsill. "Exactly what it sounds like, Tsunade. After leaving Wave, neither my spies nor I have spotted him anywhere. It is almost as if he vanished into thin air," said Jiraiya, truly perplexed. Tsunade sighed before crossing her hands in front of her face and placing her chin on them. "Alright Jiraiya, as much as it pains me, forget about Naruto for now. However, as soon as he resurfaces, I want to be the first to know," said Tsunade, clearly upset. Jiraiya nodded and left. Line break. "So Kakashi, what are we going to do today?" asked Sasuke. Sasuke was wearing the same clothes he wore for the Chunin exams, minus the black strap that used to lie around his left hand and right calf. "Well, I was thinking of a ninjutsu spar without the Sharingan," said Kakashi. Kakashi had not changed at all in the 3 months Naruto had left, but if someone particularly observant looked at him, they could see he walked with a slightly defeated air about him. Sasuke got in a ready stance while Kakashi started going through hand signs. Sasuke began making his own hand signs before launching a fireball at Kakashi, while Kakashi countered with a water dragon. I hope whatever you're doing is helping you achieve your goals, whatever they may be, Naruto. Thought Kakashi as he dodged a barrage of kunai. Line break. Lord Danzo, we still can't find a trace of the Nine Tails, said a kneeling figure. Send out 4 more men, we must find it immediately, said Danzo, to which the figure nodded and disappeared. Line break. Well Naruto, I would say you have just about mastered ice and wind manipulation. In such a short time, I may add. To gain mastery in 2 elements in 4 months is astonishing, said Ipparu in praise of Naruto's learning ability. Thanks Ipparu, said Naruto. Naruto had shot up in height now, being 1.5 meters tall, 10 centimeters taller than he was 4 months ago. So does this mean I need to go find the other dragons for my training? Asked Naruto. Actually, they need to accept you first. You see, you came to me first as you have a special bond with the Opal Dragons, being born in October. For the others though, they must decide themselves when they want to train you, replied Ipparu. So what should I do now? Go back to looking for Mist? Asked Naruto. I guess, but before you go, let me give you something, lift up your shirt, said Ipparu. Naruto obliged and Ipparu touched the tip of his tail over Naruto's heart. There was a small flash of light and a tattoo of an opal dragon was seen coiled around where his heart was. If you ever need me, just swipe some blood over your heart and pump some chakra into it and I will be there to aid you, said Ipparu with what Naruto could only call a smile. Thanks Ipparu, I'll try and summon you out for some fun sometime, said Naruto, eliciting an amused snort from Ipparu. Ipparu then stared Naruto in his eyes and Naruto felt his legs burn again before he found himself back in the building he got his summoning contract from. Line break. Naruto walked back out the gate he entered from. He stopped momentarily and turned around, pulling out the map Tazuna had given him, before he quickly jotted down some lines from Wave down to an unnamed landmass which he called Hidden Whirlpool Village. Now I hope this time I actually get to the land of water, said Naruto, before he started running back to the coastline. Line break. After a now successful run, Naruto finally arrived at another landmass, which according to his map, was the land of water. Now how am I supposed to find the village hidden in the mist? Pondered Naruto aloud. Naruto started walking down the path which he noticed was devoid of any life, plant or animal. Despite this though, there seemed to be a constant humidity in the air. I guess this is how they can use water jutsu so easily, with all this moisture though, fire jutsu must be really hard to pull off. Thought Naruto. After a while, Naruto reached the end of the first island he arrived at and water walked to the next one. This must be the main island I've been walking for hours. Thought Naruto. After walking for a little longer, Naruto heard some explosions in the distance before a stray explosive kunai landed near him, causing him to jump to the left quickly to avoid losing a limb. Okay, now I'm angry, said Naruto as he jogged in the direction of where the kunai came from. He arrived on the scene of 2 Mist Ninja fighting each other. That's odd. Why are Mist Ninja fighting each other? Thought Naruto. Die. Rebel. Shouted a slightly insane looking Mist Ninja. His entire body excluding his face was covered in fishnet and he wore a dark blue cloak over this. His headband which depicted 4 wavy lines was wrapped around his left wrist. He had a stocky build and wild black eyes. The other ninja appeared to be a middle-aged man with a patch over his right eye. He wore a talisman in each ear with Tahir written on them twice on each side. He also wore a striped shirt and pants with seemingly the same pattern, with a green robe over them. His blue hair was styled in a manner resembling a shark fin. Naruto silently and without any hand signs made 5 clones, having gained a degree of mastery over them during his training with Ipparu. As the rebel approached a tree, Naruto and his clones jumped out and quickly tackled both ninja before giving them a chop to their necks, knocking them out. Naruto tied them both up to separate trees next to each other, so they both faced him. Line break. After a surprisingly short amount of time, both ninja woke up, the rebel sat there calmly, while the other ninja was struggling against his bindings. Naruto coughed to gain their attention. Untie me now. Shouted the Mist Ninja who looked positively unhinged now. You seem to be the most rational one at the moment. Tell me, why are 2 Mist Ninja fighting each other, ordered Naruto as he pointed at the blue-haired man. Given your headband, I assume you are from the Leaf, said the man. Banished, but go on, said Naruto, eliciting a raised eyebrow from the man. Well, there is a civil war in Mist between bloodline wielders such as myself and loyalists, which think all bloodlines are a plague, said the ninja, giving a pointed look to the man next to him. Well, that throws a wrench into my plans of getting someone to train me in boil and lava release, muttered Naruto, causing both of them to look at him incredulously. More bloodline scum, spat the insane ninja. Our leader possesses boil and lava release, if you release me, I may be able to convince our leader to train you, if you help us out. Propositioned the green-clad ninja. Naruto thought it over and figured it was a fairly reasonable offer. Okay, said Naruto, as he threw a kunai cutting the ninja's ropes. My name is Ao, said the green-clad ninja. Naruto Uzumaki nodded Naruto, prompting a raised eyebrow and a look of deep thought to encompass Ao's face. Scum, you will all die, shouted the remaining mist ninja. So what do we do with him? Asked Naruto. Well, we could kill him or bring him back for interrogation to our camp, suggested Ao. Okay, said Naruto as he put his hand out and engulfed the man in a block of ice. The man gave a strangled gasp before being frozen in ice. Ao coughed, prompting Naruto to look at him. Ao pointed at the block with a raised eyebrow. Oh, did I forget to mention I have ice release too and have full mastery over it? Asked Naruto. Ao nodded. Huh, so I did, said Naruto, who unraveled a scroll he had just pulled out and used a basic sealing technique he learned during his training with Aperu from his mother's letter to cause the ninja to disappear into the scroll. He then gestured for Ao to lead the way. Back in my day, people didn't unnecessarily flaunt their powers. Thought Ao. Line break. After traversing through the misty area for an hour or so, they arrived at a clearing. Please close your eyes for a second, Uzumaki said Ao. Naruto obliged but kept his awareness of the environment on high alert. Ao made a few hand signs before pressing a specific area in the air near his head. As he did this, a genjutsu was released. You can open your eyes now, Uzumaki said Ao. Naruto obliged and looked around, seeing a new area devoid of mist and heavily entrenched with trees, with a small stream going through them in a zigzagging pattern. Ao started to walk, following the path of the stream, while Naruto followed. After some time, they reached a clearing full of activity. The expanse of land was mostly sand, with a small section covered in grass. The grassy area had 10 stumps driven into the ground, which were being pounded away at by 10 mist ninja. There were many ninja sharpening weapons, almost as though they were about to go to war very soon. There were also a few ninja carrying around boxes, no doubt filled with shuriken and kunai, to a tent. All wore similar clothing, including the grayish-purple mist flak jacket, dark blue sandals, dark black pants and forehead protectors, with the symbol of the mist village. All in all, Naruto counted about 300 ninja. Some of the ninja nodded to Ao and didn't question why he was with a stranger, leading Naruto to believe that Ao was some high up in rank. Surprising, since he was stuck fighting with one ninja who wasn't all that strong. Thought Naruto. Ao and Naruto arrived at another tent than the one where the boxes were being taken. This tent was also more elegant and was a deep blue instead of the standard gray. A word of caution before you meet the leader of our rebellion. Do not mention anything remotely close to marriage or age. It won't end well, trust me, said Ao with a shiver. Naruto raised an eyebrow but was otherwise unfazed. Ao walked into the tent while Naruto waited outside. There was a lot of muffled whispering before Ao stuck his head outside and gestured for Naruto to come in. Naruto obliged and took his first glance at the leader of the rebels. Line break. In the Leaf Village. Line break. Jiraiya was rushing to the Hokage Tower. Earlier in the day he had been relaxing in a quaint town just outside the Leaf Village when one of his spies had told him Naruto had been sighted near the Land of Water. Needless to say, Jiraiya quickly left the town and headed straight to Tsunade. Jiraiya scaled the tower and jumped in through the window, surprising Tsunade. Jiraiya begunned Tsunade threateningly. Naruto was all Jiraiya said, getting Tsunade to immediately change her expression to an eager one. Jiraiya continued, seeing Tsunade was listening, has been sighted near the Land of Water. I don't know what he is doing, but I think I should go to him now. Impossible, I can't have you being too far from the leaf at such a critical time, said Tsunade. Jiraiya looked to argue, but Tsunade cut him off before he could speak. Look, until I can get his banishment reversed, there really is nothing we can do for him, said Tsunade sadly. I understand that, Tsunade, but there is a duty I must do as his godfather, said Jiraiya. Right, like you have been doing for his whole life, said Tsunade. Jiraiya was visibly hurt and took a moment to regain his bearings before speaking. That was harsh, Tsunade, said Jiraiya with a downtrodden expression. Well, I need you to face the facts. He survived without any of us, so I'm sure he can do so again. Sigh, look, Jiraiya, I want to help him as well, after all, he is the only reason I came back to this village, but we need to think rationally with our heads, not our hearts, as much as it may pain us, said Tsunade sadly. Dear, I thought you wouldn't be a good Hokage, mumbled Jiraiya quietly, but still loud enough for Tsunade to hear. Listen, Jiraiya, I know you want to help him, but we have to look after the village for now. Wait a few more months, and then I'll see if we can afford to let you travel away from here without us being seen as weak, said Tsunade. Fine, said Jiraiya sourly, before leaving. Line break. Back with Naruto. Line break. The leader of the rebellion was a slender, busty woman. She had green eyes and ankle-length, auburn hair styled into a herringbone pattern at the back, a top knot tied with a dark blue band, and with 4 bangs at the front. 2 bangs were short, with one covering her right eye, and 2 were long, crossing each other on her bust, just below her chin. She wore a long-sleeved dark blue dress that fell just below her knees. It seemed to be closed at the front with a zip and was kept open on the front right side from the waist down. The dress only covered up to the upper part of her arms and the underside of her breasts. Underneath, she wore a mesh shirt that covered more of her upper body than her dress, but stopped short of covering her shoulders and still left a sizable amount of cleavage on display. She also wore a skirt in the same color as her dress and underneath those, mesh leggings reaching down over her knees. Around her waist, she wore a belt with a pouch attached to the back on the left, along with high-heeled sandals and shin guards, reaching up over her knees, dark blue polish on her fingers and toes, with dark blue lipstick. I may not be as perverted as Jiraiya, but I bet he would give his right arm to be able to see this epitome of beauty before me. Thought Naruto. Ao gave a worried glance to Naruto and looked at the woman, while the woman smiled. What is it? Asked Naruto, cocking his head to the side, which the woman found cute. Oh nothing, just the fact that you called me the epitome of beauty, although I do wonder how you know, Jiraiya said the woman in a melodious voice. Aw, I guess I said that out loud, said Naruto, avoiding the question about Jiraiya, receiving a nod from the woman and Ao. My name is Mei Terumi, and you would be? Asked Mei. Naruto Uzumaki, said Naruto, prompting a raised eyebrow from Mei as well. I take it you and Ao are familiar with the exploits of the Uzumaki, as both of you raised an eyebrow upon hearing my name stated, Naruto. That is correct, but how are you aware their village was destroyed and their clan thought to be extinct long before you would have even been born? Inquired Mei. That's my secret for now, said Naruto in a slightly cold voice, causing the tension in the room to increase. Very well, Uzumaki, you are entitled to your secrets, for now, said Mei, easing the tension. So will you be able to train me in using boil and lava techniques? Asked Naruto, getting to why he even came to the land of water in the first place. On one condition, you help us fight against the bloodline haters, said Mei. Naruto thought about it for a while and realized that helping out in this battle would definitely make it easier to become a Mist Ninja, assuming the bloodline wielders won, of course. If not, he would still get training in lava and boil techniques. Very well, I accept, said Naruto with a nod. Excellent, let the training begin, said Mei, with a smile that promised pain. Before anyone says anything, the 3-month time skip is correct. When I come back to Naruto and say he has been training for 4 months, this is because a month passed between those two events. Chapter 3 Pain. Naruto was breathing heavily. Mei's idea of training was to show him the attack by demonstrating it on him. It turned out that the jutsu he had used on the Anbu was lava style. Lava globs. It seems that he was actually able to launch multiple lava globs, rather than just one like he had assumed. Mei used this to her advantage when they were just starting out, as Naruto dodged one before letting down his guard, thinking she would have to make hand signs again before launching another. Boy, had he been wrong. Lava style. Lava glob, said Mei, before launching 7 different sized blobs of lava at Naruto. Damn it, said Naruto, before quickly sending chakra to his feet for a burst of speed to escape. The glob struck the ground, melting it slightly, before hardening, making the ground harder than before. Naruto then tried to make the same hand signs, but Mei's were quicker and thus his blue cape, which Mei had given him to wear so he could blend in, caught on fire. Naruto quickly threw it off, leaving him in only a short-sleeved blue shirt and dark navy pants. Earth style. Hidden mole jutsu, said Naruto, before disappearing underground. Mei smirked before making more hand signs and jumping up before blanketing the area in lava globs. Naruto, who was hiding underground, could only think, aw crap. Naruto quickly shot out of the ground, only to get kicked in the face by Mei and sent flying shoulder first into the ground, tearing up the sleeve of his shirt. Remember, Naruto, no jutsu except for the one we're practicing, said Mei, with her signature smile. Man, this sucks. Thought Naruto, as he popped his shoulder back into place. TCH fine. Lava style. Lava glob, said Naruto, as he launched a single ball of lava at Mei. Not good enough, said Mei, before she made the same hand signs Naruto had made, but instead of one, launched 8 balls of lava at Naruto. Damn it, cursed the former leaf ninja, as he backflipped to avoid the blobs. Upon impact with the ground, chunks of molten rock were launched into the air, forcing Naruto to use a substitution, lest he be struck. No other jutsus. Shouted Mei, before she launched 8 lava globs in a seemingly random direction. Naruto quickly spun in mid-air to avoid being melted by molten lava. At this rate, I'll die before I master the jutsu. Thought Naruto in exasperation. Naruto clenched his fist and started to run around Mei. Alright, let's think, overloading this jutsu with chakra isn't working and using equal amounts of fire and earth-natured chakra is the only combination to create lava, so let's try building up the same amount of chakra and releasing it over a long period of time instead of all at once. Thought Naruto as he got behind Mei. Lava style. Lava glob, said Naruto. Naruto launched a quarter of his gathered chakra while holding the rest back for an instant, sending out a head-sized blob of lava before launching half of what remained, sending out a slightly larger blob, and then lastly, launching all he still had gathered up, releasing one last blob, which was about the size of his torso. Water style. Water wall, said May, before opening her mouth wide and launching a torrent of water, which rose about 1 meter into the air, before spreading out 2 meters wide, blocking all the blobs of lava, which sizzled on impact as they quickly cooled. About time you launched more than one blob. You're a pretty slow learner, said May. I hardly call being shown a jutsu by having it demonstrated on you until you can do it, teaching, said Naruto as he crossed his arms. Well, in any case, it worked. Although you still need to work on it, as you should eventually be able to launch 4 at least, shrugged May nonchalantly. The blonde simply huffed and looked away. May started walking and Naruto followed after a while. She led him back to their main base so they could prepare for one of their assaults. Line break. Naruto and Ao hid behind a small outcrop of rocks overlooking a camp of Yaguras. The area was largely dominated by pale beige tents. Ready, Naruto? Asked Ao. Sure, this'll be easy, said Naruto, while inwardly questioning whether he would be able to do what he had to. Line break. Flashback. Line break. So Ao, you and Naruto will take out Yagura's most eastern camp. Any ideas, considering the camp holds about 50 men? Asked May. Well, I can make an indiscriminate number of clones, so I don't think numbers will be an issue, said Naruto vaguely, not wishing to divulge all his secrets. Well, Ao? Asked the brunette. I believe I could make water clones to help Naruto track down Yagura's men, as well as any prisoners, said Ao vaguely as well, not mentioning his Byakugan to a potential enemy. Line break. Then flashback. Line break. Am I really going to be able to kill 50 men? Pondered the blonde. Alright, there are 10 tents, so I'll make 10 water clones, with each clone, send 5 of your clones, stated Ao sternly. Naruto quickly crossed his fingers and made 50 clones, thankful that it was dark, so Ao couldn't see his hand movements. When the clones appeared, Ao's uncovered eye widened. Each clone has an equal amount of chakra. This is very different to the water clone jutsu. Thought Ao, trying to remember where he had seen a similar clone jutsu. Move out, said Ao, as all the clones quickly proceeded to the tents. Now let's go scope out the perimeter to make sure no one is hiding, said Ao, to which Naruto nodded. Line break. The first group of clones came upon a tent which housed 5 ninja. They quickly proceeded to end their lives. The Naruto clones did so by using ice manipulation and froze all the water and the bodies of the soon-to-be dead ninja, causing their internal organs to burst, killing them instantly. 5 down, whispered a Naruto clone. More to go, said the Ao clone, before both types of clones dispelled. Line break. That's 5 taken care of, Naruto informed Ao after receiving the memories of his clones. Ao nodded while inwardly thinking he received their memories as well. Line break. The next set of clones proceeded to quickly slit the throats of the 5 in the tent before dispelling. Line break. The third group, however, had a problem. 2 were missing, said the clone of Ao, before turning into water due to being hit with a kunai to the back. Quickly, clone, said one of Naruto's clones, before they charged. Water style. Water wall, said one of the ninjas using the water from Ao's clone. One of Naruto's clones who had charged in an attempt to engage into jutsu was dispelled by the wall, alerting all the others as well as the original. Alright, no more messing around, ice style. 1,000 needles of death, said all 4 of the remaining clones while slamming their feet on the ground, causing the water on the ground to shoot up in a manner similar to what Haku had employed. The water now floating in the air sharpened into needles, but unlike Haku's jutsu, they hardened and turned into ice. The clones all jumped back and the 2 ninja were skewered. Mistake corrected, said the main clone, before they all dispelled. Line break. That's 15 now. Although the third group had a problem, 2 were awake, we need to proceed more carefully, there might be more awake, said Naruto. Very well, said Ao, before he discreetly activated his hidden Byakugan. It seems there is one other ninja not in a tent, high down in chakra levels, best we take out all other ninja to avoid interference, said Ao. Alright, I'll take out the ninja not in a tent, you make sure no one escapes from this camp, said Naruto. Ao hesitated for a moment before nodding slightly. Naruto nodded before heading off in the direction Ao was looking. Does he have a bloodline? Thought Naruto as he quickly and quietly ran. I need to be more careful, he might catch on to my Byakugan considering he is from the leaf. Thought Ao before heading off in the opposite direction to ensure there were no survivors. Naruto slowed his run to a walk before stopping cold. About 5 meters from his position, he could just barely make out the silhouette of a person. The figure was wearing a black short-sleeved shirt and dark blue pants which flared out before tightening around the ankles. The figure had a medium-sized bust, indicating that the person was a female, and had long dark purple hair which reached to the middle of her back. She was easily taller than Naruto and had long legs which led to a perfectly heart-shaped posterior. She had pale fair skin, no doubt a result from being in a village shrouded in mist. All in all, she was a rather beautiful woman. As Naruto approached, she opened her eyes and stared intently at him with a pair of dark blue eyes which unnerved Naruto. As he approached, he was able to make out her face, it was rather pale and didn't have a single wrinkle. Her face was rather thin, making her cheekbones more pronounced, as well as her small nose and chin. "You hold a bloodline, don't you, scum?" she stated in a bone-chilling voice devoid of emotion. "If I do?" asked Naruto with a raised eyebrow. "You will die," she said slowly and calmly, as though death meant nothing to her. "I won't die here, not until," started Naruto, before trailing off as he begun to think about his purpose. In the past, he only wanted to be Hokage, but now that goal seemed well beyond his reach. "Why do I live, for what purpose?" thought Naruto. Sure, the blonde had his friends, but unfortunately for him, he could count them all on 2 hands, not to mention the fact that almost all were in the Leaf Village, which he couldn't return to. "Ara, is this how you felt?" thought Naruto in empathy, now remembering his slightly unstable friend who killed others to feel alive. The woman sensed Naruto's distraction and charged at Naruto with a roundhouse kick, making full use of her reach. Naruto blocked and used her momentum to swing her around and launch her back in the direction she charged from. "I am no longer able to protect my friends in the Leaf, and I'm sure Gaara can take care of himself now that his siblings are no longer afraid of him," thought the whiskered blonde as he dodged an elbow before retaliating with an uppercut and super kick, launching his foe backwards. "My parents are long dead and I haven't heard of any other Uzumaki anywhere," contemplated the former Leaf Ninja as he jumped over a front sweep before nailing his foe with a vicious axe kick which dislocated her shoulder. "Water style. Water dragon jutsu," said the woman as a 3-meter-long dragon of water charged at Naruto, who dodged to the side before throwing 10 kunai at his foe and quickly sinking into the ground, hidden by some of the water, which had risen up into the air when the water dragon crashed near him. Naruto crept underground, moving through the ground as though it was water until he was directly under the ninja. "Sure, I could complete the Rasengan like my father wanted me to, but why bother? What's the point?" wondered Naruto before his hand shot out and clamped onto a set of ankles before the person they belonged to was dragged down into the ground until only their head was visible. Naruto quickly popped out of the ground and squatted down, placing his kunai under her chin so the tip was just under it. "Tell me, for what reason do you live?" asked Naruto in a subdued voice. "I live to be of service to my cage and protect the world from bloodline scum like you," spat the mostly buried ninja. "I no longer have a cage," thought Naruto wistfully. "That is enough, Naruto, we can take her back for interrogation now," said Ao, who had only recently arrived. Naruto nodded and absent-mindedly pocketed his kunai before standing up. "Is life meaningless, or do I have some purpose which I have not yet learnt of?" questioned Naruto, now being able to think without having to fight at the same time. Ao placed a chakra suppression tag on their captive before pulling her out of the ground and motioning for Naruto to head back to base. Naruto absent-mindedly followed while continuing to think along the way. Line break. Naruto was sitting inside one of the larger tents which had been modeled into a bar. "Get me your strongest drink," said the blonde as he sat down on a stool. The bartender put down a small glass and poured a small amount of liquor. Naruto blinked repeatedly before leveling a suspicious glare at the bartender, almost expecting him to laugh and reveal he had been playing a prank on him. However, when he met Naruto's gaze impassively, Naruto shrugged before downing the contents of the tiny glass. Naruto's throat burned for a second and felt slightly dizzy before he felt the liquor being purged from his system. Naruto sighed inwardly while cursing the fox for making it impossible for him to become intoxicated before paying the bartender and walking out of the tent. "Damn, there is nothing to do around here," complained Naruto as he walked around, noticing that aside from training or drinking, there was nothing for him to do. "Wish I had another book, hell, I'd even settle for what the old perv calls literature," thought the former Leaf Ninja as he continued walking. Eventually, he found himself back at the main tent which was right next to his and opposite Mei's. Naruto hesitated for a second before deciding to visit Mei, reasoning that she didn't have much to do either. Naruto considered knocking first, but then realized it was a freaking tent, so there was nothing to knock on, so Naruto settled for simply walking in. Mei was inside and appeared to have just had a bath if the steam in the room was any indication. "Well, I guess she could be training in boil release techniques," rationalized the bored ninja. After a while, the steam faded and Mei was revealed wrapped in a towel while using another towel to dry her long hair. "Doesn't it get annoying to dry so much hair every time you have a shower?" asked Naruto tactlessly. Mei looked up suddenly, clearly not expecting any company, but after seeing it was only Naruto, resumed her previous task. Not really, I find it relaxing, replied Mei as she moved over to her bed in the center of the tent before sitting down on it. Naruto shrugged his shoulders, not really caring, while looking at Mei. You know, most men would be foaming at the mouth upon seeing me in nothing but a towel, Mei said offhandedly, hoping to get a reaction from Naruto. Humph, whatever, replied the blonde, emulating a certain brooding Uchiha. Mei frowned slightly before speaking. That is a rather different reaction given your words from the first time you met me. Were you lying then? Asked Mei with narrowed eyes. No, I meant what I said, you do epitomize beauty, in my eyes at least, said Naruto, getting a smile from Mei. I just find it hard to care at the moment, given my current dilemma, finished the blonde ninja, drawing a frown from Mei. Oh, what dilemma would that be? Asked Mei as she finally finished drying her hair and wrapped the towel around her head before looking for clothes to wear. Reason, will, purpose, retorted the bored ninja vaguely. Meaning? Said Mei as she gestured for Naruto to turn around while she changed. I no longer have a reason to live and thus have lost my will as I do not have a purpose in life, said Naruto. Oh, why is that? Asked the brunette. I have been banished from my village, which contains almost all my friends, whom coincidentally can all be counted on my two hands, while those not a part of my former village really don't have any need for me at the moment, replied the blonde. Well, that doesn't explain why you have no reason to live or purpose, probed Mei, wanting more from the enigma behind her. I only live to be Hokage and after some advice, to protect those precious to me as well. How can I protect those in a village which I can't enter? It would be quite difficult, wouldn't it? Replied Naruto, not really caring about withholding information anymore due to his current state of mind. Why not find a new purpose or new precious people? Suggested the female ninja. I never found a purpose in the first place, nor precious people, both found their way to me through the actions of others, replied Naruto. You can turn around now, said the now blue-clad woman. So now I find myself with nothing to do. I can't even get drunk, said Naruto, with his tone becoming slightly whiny at the end. Why is that? Asked Mei, not really curious, but merely trying to keep the conversation going. Naruto paused, having an internal debate as to whether he should reveal his Jinchuriki status. Certain events at birth have led to me being immune to alcohol, replied Naruto vaguely. Why do you want to get drunk anyway? Asked the brunette. It was just a whim, I hoped it would help pass the time until the next raider training session, replied the blonde uncaringly. Mei's lips shrunk, becoming a thin line, while her eyes narrowed. Most would take advantage of any spare time and seek to better themselves, rather than indulging in whims, commented the green-eyed beauty while inwardly frowning. I thought about it, but then figured, why? For what reason should I better myself? Quite frankly, after this civil war is over, I won't have anything to do. In fact, the only reason I came here was to gain a better understanding and hopefully, control over my bloodlines, but that's superfluous now, stated the blue-eyed blonde using one of the pair's favorite words. Mei was rather taken aback at Naruto's complete disregard and lack of care for anything. Then why stay, why not leave? Asked Mei angrily. Well, aside from the reason I just gave you, I did say I would help you against the bloodline haters if you trained me, and you have, though your methods are questionable. So even though I have no purpose, I still have my honor and I will stick to my words and see this war through to the end. Who knows, if luck is on my side, I may die in the final battle, said Naruto, before Mei stood up and quickly slapped him. Naruto was surprised by the rash action and simply stared at the emerald eye which the brunette was glaring heatedly from. How can you be so callous towards your own life? Does it mean nothing to you? Asked Mei angrily. What is a life? To no longer have any use to anyone, to no longer have a goal, that is not a life, it is merely existence, replied the blonde with a hollow tone. Mei was quite frankly stunned and couldn't think up an opposing argument despite knowing she was very much against Naruto's view. Speechless. Tell me, what is your purpose in life? Asked Naruto. I wish to end the bloodshed in the village hidden in the mist and rebuild it in order to reclaim its strength and prestige as one of the 5 great nations, said Mei passionately. Then what? Asked Naruto, confusing Mei. What do you mean? Asked Mei. I mean, what will you do after you achieve your goal? At most that would only take 10 years, so what then? Asked Naruto, probing Mei, hoping to find something that could help him regain a purpose in life. Mei paused and thought about her goals after ending the war, and only one thing really came to mind: to have a family. Mei thought. Naruto waited, hoping to receive an answer, and after hearing none, sighed. You see, you don't have anything to live for after mist is restored either, at least you have that though. Quite frankly, after this war, I really have nothing left to do, so what then? Become a mercenary, why, for fame or money, why bother? Continued the blonde, while shrugging his shoulders at the end. In any case, I'll go now, since I'm sure you have better things to do, said Naruto, before he left Mei's tent for his own to sleep, leaving behind an angry and confused brunette. Line break. In the village hidden in the leaves. Line break. What? Sasuke has left the village. Shouted Tsunade towards a despondent Sakura. Yes, Lady Hokage, he left last night. I sobbed. Don't know why he would leave, said Sakura on the brink of tears. Damn it. Anbu, get me Shikamaru Nara immediately. Ordered Tsunade as an Anbu appeared in front of her and bowed before vanishing. Sakura, you can go now, said Tsunade. Sakura considered protesting but then thought better of it and gave a slight nod before leaving. Darn, without Naruto, I don't know if they're going to be able to get him back, better get some outside help. Thought Tsunade before taking out a scroll and writing a mission aid request for the village hidden in the sand. Line break. Naruto found himself in a sewer. Oh great, it's that bloody fox. Thought Naruto in annoyance as he had been enjoying his sleep. Naruto begrudgingly walked until he found himself in front of Kyuubi's cage. Saioi, Fuzzy, what do you want? Shouted an irate Naruto. Mortal, how dare you speak to me like that? Shouted the fox, coming into Naruto's view. Yeah, whatever, what do you want already? Said Naruto with a bored glance, even having the audacity to clean out his left ear with his pinky in boredom. Kyuubi growled and slammed into the cage at the blatant disrespect. You want to become suicidal, then so be it, but do it after I'm no longer trapped inside you. You want a goal, a reason to live, fine. The murderer of your parents is still alive, shouted the fox before his tone became positively mocking. Naruto's eyes widened and he looked straight at Kyuubi, whose face was akin to the cat that caught the canary. I see that piqued your interest, so here's the deal, you finish up with your stupid human war and defeat the holder of the, as you would call it, three tails, and I'll tell you some information about the night of your birth, said Kyuubi while staring at Naruto. Naruto nodded. Excellent, now leave. Shouted the fox before it expelled Naruto from its domain. Line break. Well, who would have thought the fox would hold the answer to my reason for existence, said Naruto aloud after waking up. I guess if there is no one for me to protect, vengeance against the person who killed my parents and made my life hell will suffice, for now, said Naruto darkly before he stood up and walked out of his tent towards Maze. It was still about 6 in the morning, so the camp was relatively quiet, but there were about 10 early birds such as him who were out and about, beginning their daily routines. Along the way, Naruto couldn't help but think of an individual who shared his mentality. Never thought I would ever be able to empathize with Sasuke. Thought Naruto as he walked to Mei's tent. Upon arriving, he walked straight in and sat on the empty bed, waiting for her to show up. Line break. Mei opened her eyes after having a rather troubling night. She had stayed up for almost an hour trying to think about what could be done to fix the moody blonde. Granted, he wasn't one of their ninjas, but he was a powerful asset nonetheless. After waking up, Mei quickly got up and washed her face before heading back to her bed, only to find Naruto sitting on it. Naruto, seeing her, stood up and walked until he stood about 1 meter away from her. I am the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi and have complete mastery over the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Upon dispelling, the clones transfer everything they learned back to the original, including Jutsu knowledge. I want you to push me to my limit and teach me as much as you can as fast as you can, said Naruto in a demanding tone. Mei was taken aback at this new knowledge and slightly irked at the fact that he was demanding something from her. A moment later, however, Mei gave her sickly sweet smile before saying, very well, let the pain begin. Chapter 4 Darkness. As Mei had promised, Naruto's training, if it could be called that, pushed him to the physical limits of pain and broke through them. Since Mei was aware of the healing abilities of Jinchuriki through her few battles with Yagura, she was now a pain-inflicting machine and quite possibly a sadist. Knowing that Naruto's skin would heal, she started to train him in utilizing his boil release, which unfortunately for Naruto, meant he had to build up a resistance to its acidic properties, which involved him being immersed in an acidic mist. The problem with this though was that it resulted in his skin peeling off quite frequently. Granted, it couldn't compare to having a demon's chakra melt off your skin, but Naruto didn't know that yet. Naruto though seemed to be a mix of a masochist and a rock, as all the pain he felt only made him smile slightly, with the singular thought of revenge driving him to endure everything. Whether it be cold weather or an acidic miasma, he did not care as long as he got stronger as a result. Line break. Somewhere in the land of fire. Line break. Sasuke was in immense pain comparable to his former teammate at the moment, however, unlike him, Sasuke did not enjoy it at all. Having taken a special pill from a group which called themselves the Sound Four, Sasuke's world erupted in agony, with a searing pain burning through his neck from his cursed seal, while his lungs and heart seemed to be constricting and shrinking, causing his pain to double tenfold. He was vaguely aware of one of them mentioning something about acting quick before losing him, but at that moment, Sasuke's brain erupted in agony, feeling as though a sword was being driven straight through his forehead. He was unaware that someone had picked him up and placed him in a strange box, as his heart was beating erratically. After a moment, his heart stopped beating and Sasuke collapsed. Inside the box, Sasuke was plunged into complete darkness but somehow retained his mental faculties. Did I die? I felt my heart stop, but Sasuke trailed off at the end before looking around. The bright spot in the darkness grabbed his attention, but it soon started to fade. Sasuke quickly ran to it, unsure of what was happening, but knew that he needed to follow the light. The light blinded him momentarily before he found himself being held in the arms of his mother. After a quick glance, he saw that he was a baby again. He noticed his mother talking to a red-haired woman before the scene changed again in a flash of light. Now he was watching Itachi as a young child sparring with a blonde-haired man in the arms of his mother. Even now, Sasuke could tell the man was going easy on Itachi, but Itachi wasn't making it easy for him. The scene changed again, revealing Sasuke in Itachi's arms, with an eerie silence around them. "Sasuke, no matter what, your big brother will always protect you," said Itachi firmly. The area around Sasuke suddenly went pitch black, and a low hissing sound could be heard reverberating around him. "You want power, don't you, Sasuke?" said a smooth hissing voice. Sasuke narrowed his eyes, or at least he believed he did. "What is going on, what was all that?" thought Sasuke in confusion. "Rise, Sasuke, come to me, I will give you power. The power you want, the power you need to get your revenge," said the same voice, before Sasuke felt himself become engulfed in purple flames. Sasuke laughed in euphoria at the feeling of power he sensed in the flames, which clung to him. "Yes, this is power," shouted Sasuke manically, before waking up and snapping open his eyes, suddenly bursting out of the box he was in, heart beating once again, full of malice. Line break. Sasuke looked around and saw a badly beaten Lee and a sound ninja he had never seen before. Uncaringly, Sasuke looked around before heading off in the direction of sound, knowing no one would be able to stop him. Line break. At the rebel base camp. Line break. Naruto was happily whistling as he walked to his tent. Quite a few of the onlookers were floored at the massive change Naruto underwent overnight from a depressed, apathetic child to a bowl of happiness. One step closer, thought Naruto, as thanks to his training, he was now capable of enduring a mist of pH5. Now I find myself with a dilemma, thought Naruto as he stopped whistling and took up a pensive expression. What to do in my free time, thought Naruto as he walked back to his tent. Upon arrival, he went in and sat on the floor at the foot of his bed, leaning his back against it. Let's see, I can't drink like Tsunade, so that is off the table. Smoking is also off the table, given the massive amount of mist around here. Well, I don't have any perverted books, so Kakashi's pastime is out the window. Let's see, what else can I do? Said Naruto, while leaning his chin on his right palm, while his other hand supported his right elbow. Ah, of course. Pervy Sage's favorite hobby, peeping. That might be a bit difficult given where I am presently, it is highly doubtful the rebels have a hot spring around. Well, Jiraiya had free reign, so he chose to fluster all women, however, given my circumstances, that will be difficult, though not impossible, but I think there is one person I can give some special attention to, said Naruto, before ending with an amused smirk. Elsewhere, the leader of the rebels gave a slight shiver of excitement. I don't know why, but I feel as though things are going to get fun soon, said Mei aloud, before gaining a seductive smirk. Line break. Outside a hot spring in Tanzaku town. Line break. I don't know why, but I have that strangest feeling that I have succeeded in turning someone to the ways of the pervert. I better keep an extra copy of my books around to give to Naruto the next time I see him, said Jiraiya aloud, before returning to his research. Line break. The next day. Line break. Naruto woke up eagerly anticipating the day, as this day would be the day Naruto put his new method of entertainment to the test. He decided to grab 2 bananas and an orange for breakfast. He peeled the orange with a kunai and walked to his usual training area while slicing off and eating pieces of it. By the time he had arrived at the damp training ground, he had already started eating his first banana. He waited patiently, knowing that Mei would be by soon. Line break. Mei woke up at her usual time of 6 sharp in the morning as always, before going through her usual morning activities. While getting ready, she pondered the new changes to her temporary solider. Having such a rapid change in mentality was never a good thing in Mei's experience, as it hinted at a lack of mental stability. Although I am not sure which is better, apathetic and emotionless, or apathetic and masochistic, thought Mei, as the image of Naruto smiling in the face of having his skin peeling off due to acidic burns entered her mind. Getting lost in her musings, Mei lost track of time and realized if she didn't move soon, she would be late. Sigh, so much for breakfast, said Mei with a heavy sigh as she grabbed a ration bar disdainfully. Mei ate it as quick as possible so she wouldn't have to dwell on the taste of the almost cardboard-flavored bar. Running, she arrived at the training ground with a minute to spare. Well, you were almost late, Mei, mind elsewhere? Asked Naruto with a teasing grin. Well, he changed again. Thought Mei in confusion. Sorry about that, but I still made it on time, said Mei with her characteristic smile. True, you did, here, catch, said Naruto as he threw something at Mei, which she quickly caught before looking at it. A banana? Questioned Mei in curiosity. I figured you might be hungry, said Naruto with a slight smirk as he said hungry. Now Mei wasn't a fool. In her 20-so years of life she had become a person who was quite adept at reading people's motives. So naturally, with Naruto smirking as he said the word hungry and him offering her a banana, of all possible food choices, she was naturally suspicious. In addition, her teasing nature was not a front as she had a good idea at what Naruto was implying with both his words and actions. He is still 5 years too young to tease me. Thought Mei smirking inwardly. Why thank you, I indeed had to skip breakfast today, said Mei as she peeled the banana. Naruto waited with a face of stone while inwardly jumping with playfulness. Almost. Thought Naruto as Mei brought the banana to her lips. She slowly slid it into her mouth to about half of its total length before Naruto formed a one-handed seal behind his back while channeling ice chakra which caused the banana to turn to ice, shocking Mei at the sheer coldness while also sticking to her mouth. My Mei, you certainly are eager this morning, said Naruto happily. Mei had not expected him to freeze the banana, but his voice brought her back to her senses. She started pooling boil release chakra in her mouth before releasing it around the banana, causing it to literally dissolve right before Naruto's eyes. Oops, seems like it couldn't survive my mouth, said Mei with a smile while closing her eyes. Damn, that was scary, but also a little hot. Thought Naruto while little Naruto cringed in apprehension. All around the world little men shivered for their poor comrade. Mei opened her eyes to see him smirking slightly, which puzzled her, as most men would have been at least a little scared from her display. So can we get started now? Asked Naruto in a bland tone. Certainly, prepare yourself, said Mei, before making the horse seal and releasing a swathe of acidic miasma from her mouth, which enveloped Naruto. Initially, it was only a slightly acidic mist, not more corrosive than acid rain, but Mei was slowly but steadily dropping the pH from just under 7 down to 6 and finally 5. At this stage, Mei looked at Naruto and was slightly surprised to see that he was completely unharmed. Lower, said Naruto in a level tone. Mei initially hesitated but remembered that Naruto did need to get used to lower pH levels, so she dropped it down to 4. The now 10 times stronger acidic mist started to cause Naruto's skin to turn red in irritation from the acid. Naruto however released a relaxed sigh, almost as if he was enjoying it. So have you ever tried to release this type of chakra from other parts of your body than your mouth? Asked Naruto. Is he teasing me again? Thought Mei, but looking at Naruto's face, it only showed genuine curiosity. No, as if it isn't released properly, it can corrode through skin and bone, said Mei after a while. That is a shame, thought Naruto, before saying lower again. As the pH level dropped to 3, Naruto's skin begun to peel off, causing him to release a heavy sigh. Yes, this makes me feel alive. Naruto thought in relaxation. I wonder if this is how Gaara felt when he killed people and scattered their blood everywhere. I guess I'll have to ask him sometime. Thought the morbid fox carrier. After a while, the green-eyed beauty dissipated the acidic mist, much to the Uzumaki's disappointment. That should be enough for today. At this rate, you will completely unaffected by the strongest possible acidic mist which can be produced, possibly within the next 3 days, said Mei in a thoughtful tone. That is really good, I can't wait. But thank goodness for resistant seals, or I would keep ruining all my clothes at this rate, said Naruto in a slightly happy tone. So it seems he can be happy, but only related to training matters. Well, there was also his attempts to tease as well, I guess. Thought Mei, before getting an idea and giving a devilish smirk. So how about a spar, after all, I have yet to test the full extent of your abilities and as a leader, I have to know the strength of my troops. Suggested Mei in a casual manner. Sure, why not, any restrictions? Asked Naruto, dropping into a bizarre stance with both his arms down, sticking out at the ground at a 45-degree angles, with his hands open into claws and facing back, with his left leg in front of his right, a little less than shoulder width apart, with both legs bent at the knees, with his right foot flat on the ground. While his left was propped up on the ball of his foot. Mei was flabbergasted at such a strange stance, but quickly recovered. No weapons, but everything else goes, said Mei. Naruto nodded and waited for Mei to take a stance. Well, what are you waiting for? Asked Mei. Aren't you going to take a stance? Asked Naruto in confusion, while still keeping his guard up. I already have, said Mei before melting into lava. Aw crap. Thought Naruto, before a reverse roundhouse hit the back of his head, sending him to the ground. Oh my, don't tell me that is it. Taunted Mei with a smirk. Naruto spat out a bit of blood, having bitten his cheek from the surprise kick. Fine, you asked for this, said Naruto, as he got back into his stance. Chakra crawled along his arms before forming a set of claws on his hands, made out of glowing blue chakra, with a slightly reddish tint. Naruto burst forward in a rush of speed and threw a clawed uppercut at Mei's face, which she avoided by backflipping. She turned to face Naruto in midair before shooting a massive glob of lava at him. Naruto quickly made a tiger hand sign, followed by a dog, before a large wall of ice rose up, blocking the lava. Naruto quickly sunk underground and ran towards Mei, while making a clone appear behind him. The clone jumped out of the ground behind Mei, while Naruto stayed and waited. Mei made a few quick hand signs and shot 3 water bullets at the clone, dispelling it, before slamming her hands on the ground, causing the earth to split, revealing Naruto. "Nice try, but did you forget I've already stopped you when you tried this before?" said Mei with a smile. "Well, have you seen this before?" asked Naruto, before turning away and launching wind style. Great breakthrough which propelled him at Mei, while the chakra on his hands was replaced with wind-natured chakra. 2 quick claw thrusts in Mei's right sleeve and clothing around the right side of her stomach was torn to shreds, with Mei barely dodging in time as blood dripped down her right forearm. Mei was angry. Not for the reason of some kunoichi as her clothing had been damaged, no, Mei was not a person who cared for such trivial and pointless things. She was angry because not only had she been caught off guard by such a simple trick, but by someone who was a genin, while she was supposedly a cage-level ninja. Mei's pride would not allow this. Mei made the horse seal and dropped her mist down to a pH of 1, before releasing it around the area, trapping Naruto within the 10-meter area, not taken up by an acidic mist. "Oil style. Acid spears," said Mei while holding the horse hand sign. The acidic mist around Naruto and Mei turned into hundreds of spears before charging straight at Naruto. "Damn water style. Multi-water wall jutsu," said Naruto hurriedly, before 4 walls of water sprung up around him, shielding him from the spears, while he formed an ice mirror which he walked into, which spat him out 20 meters away, but unfortunately, 3 meters in the sky. "Thanks for the save," Haku mumbled Naruto, before needing a large amount of fire-natured chakra in his lungs. As the mist created from the clashing of the water walls and acid spears cleared, Naruto was nowhere to be seen. "I really hope I didn't kill him," thought Mei in worry. "Fire style. Fireball jutsu," shouted Naruto 5 meters away in the air behind Mei, launching a fireball 5 times bigger than the average one. Mei inwardly breathed a sigh of relief before going through a large amount of hand signs at blurring speeds. "Water style. Water dragon jutsu," said Mei, before the mist around her formed into a massive 5-meter-long dragon. A pair is twice as big," mumbled Naruto in thought, before creating a clone in mid-air, which begun to help him form a Rasengan, before throwing him straight at the ground, while he was obscured by the clashing of the 2 jutsu. The Uzumaki pulled the arm with the Rasengan back while outstretching his other to ensure he passed into the earth, instead of having the Rasengan explode in his face. As the 2 attacks dissipated, Mei looked around and noticed Naruto wasn't around, before cursing and trying to jump away, before finding out a clone was holding her legs in place. The original Naruto burst from the ground with a loud scream of Rasengan and crushed a ball of condensed chakra into Mei's stomach, grinding against her clothing and stomach before the clone released her legs and she was sent flying away into a tree a few meters behind her. Mei was not prepared for the impact and hit the back of her head against the tree, knocking her out. Naruto blinked owlishly, not expecting that she would get knocked unconscious by that last move. "Aw geez, what the hell do I do now?" asked Naruto aloud, before giving an exasperated sigh and walking over to Mei, before slinging her bloody right forearm over his shoulder and sweeping her feet from under her, carrying her away bridal style. "Oh see crap, I shredded most of her clothing in the last attack," whispered Naruto, while trying in vain to not look at Mei's upper body, her breasts only being hidden by a small amount of mesh and a little bit of her blue dress. Crap. I have to get her back to her tent before someone sees this," thought Naruto in worry, with a slight blush on his face. Naruto quickly hopped away in the direction of the main camp while stopping and hiding whenever someone was nearby. Luckily, they had been training for longer than usual thanks to the spar, and it was now almost 8 in the afternoon, so not too many people were out and about, thus allowing Naruto to get Mei back to her tent safely. He set her down on her bed and was just about to leave when the small amount of clothing hiding Mei's breasts from the world split, revealing them for all to see. Her dark pink nipples glistening with sweat from their training while her large breasts bounced. Naruto stood there in shock for 5 seconds before realizing exactly what he was looking at, before he developed a small blush, before a large blush quickly replaced it and he was sent flying back with a bloody nose and a stupid grin. Mei then chuckled and got up from the bed, having been feigning unconsciousness for the past 2 minutes after waking up and finding herself in Naruto's arms, waiting patiently for the perfect moment to accidentally tear what remained of her clothing on her upper body. Mei walked over to him and patted his face condescendingly. "As I said, you are still too young to tease me," Mei said, before noticing a small bulge in his pants. But I guess I'll just have to wait a bit longer until you are a challenge for me, said May with a slight giggle, before giving him a kiss on the cheek on his whisker marks, causing him to release a small purr. How cute. Thought May, before walking off to get a new mesh shirt and change her now tattered dress. Although that was quite a surprise. Thought May, as she stripped while going over their spar. He shows a good amount of mental flexibility, being able to come up with many plans in the heat of battle, even being able to surprise me twice. I highly doubt he is genin rank, and he must have surely been scorned and his potential limited by the leaf. The green-eyed brunette continued in thought while putting on her new mesh shirt before slipping on her blue dress. Oh well, their loss is our gain. Thought May, before draping Naruto's left arm over her shoulder and using a body flicker to get him back to his tent. As she attempted to set him down on his bed, something squeezed her left breast. May's head mechanically twitched until she was staring down at whatever had groped her and saw Naruto's left hand. May, seeing his stupid grin, gained another bright idea and set him down and took off his shirt and pants along with his sandals before stripping herself of her dress, high-heeled sandals and shin guards, along with her mesh top, leaving her in only her shorts and mesh leggings, which reached down to just above mid-thigh and over her knees respectively. She then got under his covers with him on his right and cuddled up against him. May gave a small yawn as she rested against Naruto. Thanks to Naruto's growth spurt from his training with Ipparu, she was able to comfortably rest her head on his chest as they were both more or less the same height. This feels nice, mumbled May, before Naruto unknowingly pulled her closer. Yeah, nice, said May before falling asleep. Line break. Naruto slowly opened his eyes the next morning and yawned. He went to stretch his arms but found his right arm was pinned down by something. Alright, remain calm, what was the last thing that happened yesterday? Thought Naruto, before remembering he had passed out from a nosebleed. Darn, didn't think I was a pervert, although I guess between Iruka, closet pervert Ibisu, porn-reading Kakashi and the old man, as well as the self-proclaimed super pervert Jiraiya, writer of said porn and master peeper, I was doomed to become a pervert, mumbled a disgruntled Naruto. Wait a minute. That still doesn't explain what is pinning my right arm down. Thought Naruto, before slowly turning his head to the side and seeing May there, curled up against his chest, sleeping peacefully. While on the outside Naruto had a face of stone, internally, what the hell is going on? He was very surprised. May moved a little in her sleep and Naruto felt something amazingly soft along his bare chest. Wait a minute, bare chest. Thought Naruto in apprehension, before lifting up the cover a little and seeing that he was topless, but on top of that, May is topless in my bed. Thought a greatly surprised and slightly worried Naruto. Okay, now is the big moment, check you are still wearing pants. Thought Naruto calmly. He slowly reached down and felt his two legs. Okay, no pants, but I still have underwear, why did I just feel a third leg? Thought Naruto, having brushed a smooth leg on his way back up. Is she naked? Thought Naruto in confusion instead of apprehension, now that the initial shock of waking up with May next to him had worn off. Naruto raised the covers once again and received a view of May's hergless figure and thankfully, shorts and mesh pants. Oh man, phew, I do not want to be a dad at the age of 15. But wow, she is absolutely perfect. Thought Naruto in awe, going over May's figure in his mind. Now this brings up the more pressing matter, why is she in my bed almost naked? Naruto pondered. Naruto's musings stopped when he felt his right leg and hand become enveloped by a pair of warm mesh-covered thighs. Aw, screw it, who cares, I am going to savor this. Thought Naruto, before wrapping May's body closer to him and going back to sleep. Once Naruto had fallen asleep, May opened up her left eye and looked at Naruto in surprise. Well, he certainly got comfortable fast. Thought May in amusement, before hugging onto Naruto again and following his example, before going back to sleep for another hour or so, since it was only 5 in the morning. Line break. After that day, May tried her best to have as much contact with Naruto as possible, without arousing suspicion from any other parties, doing things such as sneaking up on him and pressing her breasts on his back, or accidentally falling on Naruto during spars or free time. Naruto enjoyed the contact, but was a little confused about the rapid change in May. Line break. From some reason, Jiraiya suddenly cried in anguish at the feeling of someone being oblivious to a hot woman's advances. Line break. 2 weeks after the incident of Naruto knocking out May in their spar and somehow waking up with her the next day, another attack was planned on one of Yagura's main bases. The rebels' main base was in the south, so they planned to attack Yagura's stronghold to the south, as it would give them access to the village itself. Yagura in total only had a total of 18 bases, 4 in the classical north, east, west and south directions, 5 kilometers away from the village itself, 4 more bases in the intersection of a diagonal path, with any 2 of the 4 bases 3 kilometers away from each base, each forming an isosceles triangle, and lastly, a ring made up of the other 10 bases, surrounding these bases. And forming a circle with a radius of 10 kilometers. In total, the rebels had taken out 8 of these bases, 2 on the eastern part of the ring, 1 on the western part of the circle, and the remaining 5 from the south, southeastern and southwestern part of the ring, as well as the 2 bases which formed the isosceles triangles with the main south base. Thus, the southern side now only had 1 base left between the rebels' main camp and the village, in which Yagura resided. This is rather risky, Lady May. We only have a couple hundred or so troops with us, while Yagura has at least a few thousand. Furthermore, he may be on to us, given a majority of our attacks have been in the south, stated Ao. May nodded, deep in thought, thinking about how to go about this. True, you do make a good point, Ao. We really are being stretched thin, however, we have been successful so far, and I do believe we can be so again, but at what cost? Said May rhetorically. Well, I just might have an idea, although it is quite risky, chimed in Naruto, who had been sitting off to the side on a table while May, Ao, and a few other high-ranking jounin were discussing their plan of action. Oh, do tell, said one of the jounin apathetically. One of the jounin next to the one who had just spoken nudged him sharply with his elbow before speaking. Hey, you know, it was only thanks to him that we were able to take the western base without any casualties on our part. Well, that aside, I do have an idea, which very well may end this war within the month, said Naruto, drawing incredulous stares from all in the tent. Ridiculous. This war has been going on for 5 years, and it has taken that long just to get this far, ending the war in a month. Preposterous. Shouted Amayuri Ringo, one of the few remaining members of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, before coughing a bit. Believe me, it by no means will be easy, rather, it will be the most difficult battle of your life. However, given our numbers and Yagura's force's recent movements, it is the best course of action to bring about a decisive finish, said Naruto firmly. What is this plan of yours? Asked Ao, staring at Naruto intensely. I will lead a small contingent of troops around Yagura's bases until we arrive near his northern bases. We will take the base and allow a few survivors to report back that the leader of the alliance and the last remnants of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist attacked, said Naruto, before he was cut off by incredulous shouting. Lady May, surely you can't be thinking of going along with this, it is a death trap. Stated the same jounin who had spoken apathetically before. That is enough, Hiroshi, I thank you for your concern, but I haven't even agreed to the plan yet, said May, with her trademark smile, causing Ao to back off unconsciously. In any case, I never said May herself would carry out the attack, did I? Questioned Naruto rhetorically. Huh? Replied back Hiroshi unintelligently. Naruto sighed before quickly making the signs for a transformation jutsu. Once the smoke had cleared, an exact replica of May was staring at them. The transformation won't fool anyone for long, criticized Ao. Ao, shut up or I'll kill you, said Naruto, once again causing Ao to take a step back. You see, my transformation technique is special, I can only attribute it to having a being known for its transformation and shape-shifting ability inside me, but my transformations are solid, not illusion, said Naruto in May's voice. Incredible, said Misaki, the jounin who had nudged Hiroshi before. Furthermore, if I have chakra and do not want to be knocked out of the transformation, I can't be, said Naruto. Lastly, since I too have boil and lava style bloodlines, I am the only one able to perfectly trick the enemy into believing I am truly May, said Naruto, before ending the transformation. Why the need for Chijuro and Amayuri? Asked May curiously. It is only logical the leader has some of her strongest with her. While Ao is also an option, no leader would ever take all their strongest warriors alone. Hence Ao staying with you ensures they don't catch on to the ruse, explained Naruto. What makes you think you can take out their base all by yourself? We had to fight tooth and nail to get even this far. Asked Amayuri. Well, my ninjutsu prowess aside, I have the ability to literally create an army, so if you are worried about numbers, don't be, said Naruto flatly. It does sound risky, but that aside, how can you taking that base end the war? Asked Misaki. Simple, we do not have numbers on our side, as despite the fact that I could produce hundreds of clones, they have thousands of ninja, not to mention the one-hit dispersion side effect of shadow clones. Although there has been a simple plan which has worked numerous times in the past, said Naruto while pausing. Which is? Asked Ao. Oh, but a pincer, of course, countless massive forces have been taken out by much smaller ones, thanks to a pincer. So, I lead an attack from the north disguised as May, Yagura sends the majority of his forces north, and the rest of you can pincer him from the south, blocking him off from 2 sides, finished Naruto with a self-satisfied grin. Naruto walked back to the table he had previously been sitting on and proceeded to lay down on it with his eyes closed. After some discussion and deliberation among the others, they came to an agreement that Naruto's plan just might work. Alright Naruto, we will go with your suggested plan of attack, said May, causing Naruto to sit up quickly and head off. Cool, Amayuri, you let Chijuro know and gather any reliable ninja you know, no more than 5, and tell them to be ready to head out at 4 tomorrow morning, said Naruto, before leaving the tent and going to take a nap. Man, that guy is frustrating, muttered Mayuri, causing the others to chuckle. Yeah, and now you get to spend around a month stuck with him and only 6 other people, laughed May. To think that I'm staving off my illness just to spend more time with him, oh joy, sighed Mayuri. Well, I guess it could be worse, he could have been a loudmouth brat with no skill. At least he is a decent ninja, said the swordswoman, before heading off to assemble her team. Chapter 5, the penultimate battle. The sun was not even close to rising, and everyone in the rebel camp was still fast asleep, except for 5 people. Those who were not fortunate enough to be sleeping right now were Mayuri, Chijuro, Kiri and Ganryu, along with the reason they were all awake so early. Naruto. Alright, now, before we head out, I need a basic rundown of your abilities, said Naruto quietly, not wanting to wake up anyone who wasn't directly needed for the plan, in case Yagura had spies planted in their camp. All of us are skilled swordsmen, except for Kiri, who excels in medical ninjutsu and knows a few medium-level genjutsu. All of us also possess at least Chunin-level mastery over water, in addition to me possessing lightning release, stated Mayuri, slightly impatient. But in addition to my ninjutsu prowess in fire and wind, we make a rather solid team. We could use a stronger earth release wielder, but with all of us having rather good water release jutsu, we should be fine, defensively, said Naruto thoughtfully. Have you all been briefed on the mission parameters? Asked Naruto, earning a nod from the 4 gathered ninja. Alright, then let's move out, I will transform once we are out of sight of the base, said Naruto, earning another set of nods before the group disappeared in a burst of speed. As the group ran through the dense fog surrounding the base, they eventually came to the point where the genjutsu hiding the camp was. Naruto with a sigh closed his eyes before Kiri deactivated the barrier before Naruto was dragged across the boundary by Mayuri before Kiri put the barrier back up. Okay, from this point on I am May and you all need to address me as such, said Naruto before he transformed and became an identical replica of the dual bloodline holder. Move out, said Naruto in May's voice. After running for a bit, Chijuro spoke up. Lady May, how are you able to change your voice? Asked Chijuro, slightly hesitant. Well, Chijuro, it just so happens that my transformation abilities are exceedingly special, even changing my voice as well as my body. The only thing which doesn't change is my chakra density. As such, my ability to use jutsu isn't affected, allowing me to use any of the jutsu I know without having to adjust due to having someone else's chakra control and reserve, said May, with her usual smile. Ugh, that is so creepy, never transform into me, said Mayuri. May just gave a smile. I'll have to try that at some point just to mess with her, thought Naruto in amusement. May held up her left hand, having heard something in the distance. The assembled group of ninjas stopped. May lowered her head to the ground, placing her ear close to it, listening intently. Off to the east there was a lot of noise being generated, the sound of enemy ninja. To Naruto's delight, they were heading south. Perfect, their lines in the north are thinning out as they are moving south, all according to plan, thought Naruto with a smile, before standing up and signaling for the group to resume their running. Line break. Ao and the real May were in the main tent, going over a few last minute details for their battle plan while waiting for word on the enemy forces. Ao, do you think this plan will work? Asked May hesitantly. Ao took a deep breath before exhaling, after which he proceeded to speak. Well, I do believe the plan has some merit to it. To Naruto's credit, pincers are rather successful, having been able to cause the downfall of armies 10 times bigger than the one we are currently facing, but paused Ao, gaining a thoughtful look. But what is it? Asked May anxiously. There are a great deal many factors unaccounted for, leaving me uneasy, finished Ao. Such as, probed May. Such as how many troops will actually head back north once Naruto, disguised as you, is spotted. What if none of the troops head north and instead Yagura himself makes an appearance, and what about the reverse of that? In addition to this, how do we know the east and west forces are not doing something similar to us now and pincer us as well? The plan, if everything goes according to plan, should work, however, I am uneasy about all the unaccounted variables, finished Ao with a small sigh. May thought deeply on everything Ao had just said. If that is the case, why did you let them carry out this plan? Asked May, curious of why Ao would go along with such a plan. As I said, the plan itself has merit and can potentially win this war. I am just slightly uneasy at how much is being left to chance, said Ao, just before a messenger entered the tent and knelt. Lady May, Lord Ao, we have just received word from out spies that the forces to the east are heading in this direction, while the western forces are heading into the center of the village, fortifying its defenses, said the messenger quickly. Excellent, thank you for the update, you're dismissed now, said May with a kind-hearted smile, as the messenger bowed and left. This is good news, said Ao, looking over a map of the land of water. If Naruto can do his part, this plan might just work, mumbled Ao. Line break. After a while of running and dodging any of Yagura's ninja, they finally reached an area uphill of the base they were going to invade. Okay, this is how it is going to work. We need to ensure at least half of the ninja here are taken out, either dead or unable. Anyone who doesn't flee after half the ninja are taken down are to be killed. This will lower their numbers for later. Understood. Said Mei, getting a nod from the other 4 ninja with her. Mayuri, when I finish speaking, wait exactly 30 seconds for the rest of us to get into position before throwing a lightning ball directly at that large thatched building, at which point I will launch lava around the east side of the base to further throw their ranks into disarray. After I launch my lava, Kiri, you will need to cast a double full surrounding Jinjutsu around Ganryu and Chijuro, making it so everyone affected sees them 10 meters to the left of where they actually are. Ganryu and Chijuro, you need to be the ones who begin to cut them down. I doubt the Jinjutsu will buy you more than 5 seconds of time, 10 if they are confused enough, so after 6 seconds, I will charge in and reveal myself. When they panic, all hell breaks loose, kill all in sight, ensuring only the bare minimum of survivors escape. Now, move out, said Mei before Kiri, Ganryu, Chijuro and Mei left, leaving Mayuri alone. The kid isn't too bad at coming up with strategies, plus he does take things seriously when he needs to. Not a bad mindset for a brat. Thought Mayuri, contemplating the recently turned 16-year-old ninja and his strange personality as she counted down to 0. 3, 2, 1, go, whispered Mayuri before generating a tennis ball-sized sphere of lightning in between her kiba blades before launching it, causing the roof of the building it struck to catch on fire. We're under attack, it must be the rebels, shouted a ninja who ran out of the building. Lava style. Lava wave. Shouted Mei from a rocky outcrop near the base and spat a 10-meter-long wave of lava out. It's their leader, impossible. Shouted another ninja who quickly turned around, hearing fellow comrades being cut down. Chijuro and Ganryu were advancing slowly but steadily. Ganryu cut down his foes swiftly and without mercy as Chijuro caused his Hiramekure to form into a hammer made of chakra which blasted ninja away in their dozens. Surprisingly, the Jinjutsu lasted a full 12 seconds before someone noticed it and dispelled it, which had given Mei 6 seconds of time to spread her mist out around her immediate area. Lava and boil release and swordsman with the famous 7 blades of our land, it must be her, the rebel leader. Quickly, send out for reinforcements from all our bases. If we cut off the head of this rebellion, the rest will fall, said the first man who had emerged from the building when lightning struck it. Perfect. Thought Naruto, who started to spread his acidic mist over the loyalists, who cried out in agony. 7 messengers tried to flee, but Mayuri stealthily struck, killing 4 of them, leaving only 3 to leave as planned. At this stage, there were already 50 dead bodies hacked to pieces by Ganryu, 20 knocked out or dead from Chijuro's blunt force trauma, and 60 dead from Mei's acidic mist. Having killed off most of the messengers, Mayuri jumped into the fray, electrocuting and slashing through many of the remaining ninja. 200 ninja lived in this base before the attack. 7 fled, 21 were captured, with all the others being dead or close to it, thanks to the assault of 5 ninja. As the survivors were tied up and placed into one of the many remaining buildings, Naruto gathered up his chakra, having dispelled his transformation of Mei, now that the battle was over. Fire style. Fireball jutsu, said Naruto, as the building caught aflame. As the ninja who were placed into it were all knocked out, there were no screams of pain, and after 3 minutes, the building had burned down, with the fire having been put out due to the excessive moisture in the air. What now? Asked Chijuro timidly. Now, we wait, said Naruto stoically as he created 2 shadow clones who he nodded to, who then took off towards the southeast and southwest. Line break. Mei and Ao were mobilizing the entirety of their remaining forces. Having begun this war almost 5 years ago with 3,000 troops, half of which were bloodline holders, they were now down to a small 750, not a particularly bad outcome, considering that Yagura's forces had gone from 20,000 to half that. What the rebels lacked in numbers, they made up for in their unique abilities, and with Naruto joining in and taking out a full 300 all by himself in various raids, they could not have been any luckier that he had been banished and decided to come to the land of water. The remaining rebels were moving cautiously and quietly north. The need to do so impressed upon all of them, as if the loyalists found out Mei was really in the south and not near the north base, the entire pincer would fail. Everything is slowly occurring as planned. Thought Mei grimly, knowing full well that this final battle would determine the fate of the village hidden in the mist. Still, if the battle is nearing its end. The battle with Yagura is at hand. Thought Mei with a frown, remembering what Naruto had said to her late last night. Line break. Flashback. Line break. What are you saying? Asked Mei in shock, eyes widened slightly. Exactly what I said, and you can't change this, said Naruto. Mei paused for a moment before adopting her sickly sweet smile, which haunted Ao's dreams. Excuse me, but it seems as though you think you can order me around like a common genin, said Mei in a sickly sweet voice, while subtly making a jab at Naruto's official rank. I am not ordering you around. I am telling you that I will be the only one to fight Yagura with no interference, said Naruto harshly, not in the least bit intimidated. And just exactly who do you think you are to decide who will fight Yagura? As I recall, you are not even a mist ninja, and we have been fighting in this war for years now. Asked Mei in a tone which promised pain no matter the answer. Someone just like Yagura and the only one who has the right to end him. He might have enslaved and slaughtered your people, but the curse of a Jinchuriki is something only another Jinchuriki can understand. If Yagura is to die, it will be at my hand, none of you can understand Jinchuriki and never will. If he has to die, at the very least, it will be to someone who understands his pain, said Naruto, before leaving the tent, leaving a conflicted and very annoyed Mei behind. Line break. Then flashback. Line break. We are almost at the dispatch point, whispered Ao to Mei, earning a nod of understanding. Good luck, Ao, make sure you survive, said Mei, as she and Ao split paths, with half of the troops going with Ao, while half went with Mei. After receiving word of the enemy's movements, Ao suggested they split the remaining ninja between the two of them. Ao would continue straight up north, while Mei would swing around to the now weakened western front. This would change the plan of attack to a three-pronged pincer attack instead of a two-pronged pincer, which would allow the rebels to not only attack a greater area of loyalists, but also put more pressure on them, forcing them to either be killed or retreat to the east, the only point not being attacked. The plan does have its downsides though, with the two groups still needing to take out almost 2,000 troops between them, not to mention the strength of the two forces would become much weaker than if they had all continued on together. At the very least though, capturing would suffice, after all, killing every mist ninja in existence not on the side of the rebels would make recovering from this terrible ordeal almost impossible. Line break. Lord Yagura, our northern base has been attacked and destroyed by none other than the rebel leader Mei Terumi said, a kneeling Chunin loyalist who had just received the information from a messenger. The man of diminutive stature wearing a cloak stood up and walked to the right side corner of the room, where he picked up a peculiar staff off a small bookshelf. He strapped the strange staff, which seemed to have a flower growing out of it, onto his back and walked near the Chunin before tapping him lightly on the shoulder, causing him to look up. Today this pointless war ends, said the fourth Mizukage, who was prepared for the final battle for Kiri, for better or for worse. Line break. How much longer do we need to wait here? Asked Amayuri to their group leader, whose eyes had been closed for the past 30 minutes. Naruto sat there in silence before he twitched imperceptibly as he felt the memories of his clones return to him. Mei and Ao have split and are attacking from two separate fronts, risky, but if they can manage, it will be of major assistance to the battle. Ah, and there it is, the chakra of the Sanbi, although it feels controlled in a way, unnatural of a tailed beast's chakra, going off the feeling of mine and Gaara's. Even after Gaara learned to block out Shukaku, I could still feel the erratic nature of the tailed beast's chakra. Thought Naruto, pondering just what exactly this meant. We leave now, said Naruto, as the group quickly stood up and took off in the direction of battle. Soon this battle will be over, then, I can get started. Thought Naruto as they ran along the ground quickly, excited but also slightly wary for battle. Line break. It is time to end this foolish battle once and for all, do you not agree, Sanbi? Thought Yagura, questioning his host. Yes, it will all end soon, replied a voice much too gentle to be the voice of a tailed beast, but Yagura seemed not to notice or care. Soon, I will cleanse mist of these impure genetics come and restore glory to the village hidden in the mist. Thought Yagura in excitement. To think this fool managed to become a cage but never noticed himself or his beast being subdued. Thought the voice in Yagura's head, eager to see the fruits of his labor. This village has only experienced a taste of hell. Thought the voice, trailing off ominously. Lord Yagura, our forces are being attacked from the south and the west, reported a messenger as they all ran northwards. It is of no consequence, the leader is north and once the leader is killed, the rest will fall, replied Yagura stoically. But my lord, Mei Terumi is in fact leading the attack on our western front. Said the messenger in worry. What? Asked Yagura as he outright stopped running, causing the rest of his men to follow suit. Yagura made the ram sign and focused his chakra into the mist, enabling him to feel every presence in contact with the mist. It seems that the messenger is in fact accurate, but if that is the case, who attacked the north? Impossible, a tailed beast carrier, the 9 tails even, as well as those 2 traitorous ninja. This changes things. Thought Yagura. Kushimaru, Jinpachi, you two will come with me. Jin and you will lead half of our forces west and deal with the leader of this rebellion, the rest of you are to head south and fortify the defense there. They will no doubt have sent most of their manpower west to back up their leader, as well as north for the surprise attack, so you should not encounter too much difficulty. Now disperse, said Yagura. Yes sir, shouted the ninja as they turned around and set off towards their new mission. Oh, and what do you need us for, Yagura? Asked Jinpachi in a slightly raspy voice. Ah, you two will be deal with your traitorous counterparts, Mayuri and Chijuro. I trust you will see to it that they don't live to regret their decision to betray me, said Yugura coldly. Not at all, replied Kushimaru in a slightly high-pitched voice. Line break. Ao was frowning slightly. Having been around for the Third Great Ninja War, he knew a thing or two about tactics, just like he knew that Yugura had more ninja at his disposal than what his unit was currently up against. Even double the amount of ninja they were fighting, assuming an equal number had been sent to deal with Mei and her unit, was not even half of Yugura's forces. While they were making ground, being able to subdue a larger portion of ninja than they killed, Ao was wary. If the other half of Yugura's troops are with Yugura heading towards Naruto, there is very little chance his group will survive such an onslaught, and that is without factoring Yugura himself in. Thought Ao as he launched a water dragon, knocking out 20, unlucky, or lucky considering that they would live through this battle, ninja. Ao discreetly pushed some chakra into his Byakugan and looked as far ahead as he could. It seems two large forces are moving south and west, they can only be reinforcements. Thought Ao before focusing his chakra on seeing further. 3 large signatures are moving north, wait a minute, something is tampering with the largest signature impossible, could it be that Yugura has been under a Jinjutsu this whole time? Thought Ao in shock while launching 10 kunai at 10 unlucky ninja, considering their vitals had been pierced. Has this entire war been misguided? Questioned Ao before putting those thoughts aside and plunging back into battle. Line break. Banryu, Kiri, I want you two to head to the western front where Mei is, knowing the intellect of a cage, Yugura will have no doubt figured out our tactic by now and would have sent someone powerful to take out Mei, go and reinforce her, said Naruto, before abruptly stopping, causing everyone else to follow suit. Why are we stopping? Asked Chijuro. Because Yugura, as well as 2 high-level chakra signatures, are almost here, said Naruto ominously. Naruto gave a nod to Ganryu and Kiri and then took off. As the trio waited in silence, a breeze blew through the area, shortly after which, Yugura, Kushimaru and Jinpachi dropped down into the narrow clearing surrounded by trees. So it seems you are the reason the bloodline scum were able to gain some morale, holder of the Kyuubi, said Yugura flatly. Yes, and it seems you are the reason this bloody war occurred in the first place, holder of the Sambi, said Naruto, staring Yugura down. Ah, Mayuri, and look at what we have here, that little brat Chijuro. I hope you two are ready to die here today, said Jinpachi mockingly. You never could send shockwaves through my heart, both of you bore me, today I will end you too, so I never need to see you ever again. Shouted Mayuri. Big words from someone not much longer of this world. Even without you having to face the two of us, death's door is waiting for you, retorted Kushimaru. She isn't facing the two of you alone, said Chijuro. Ha, the little pup talks. Said Jinpachi mockingly. Can you two handle these guys? Asked Naruto, never taking his eyes off Yugura. No problem, these cowards won't last long, replied Mayuri with a fanged grin as she raised her kiba blades. I can trust you two to take care of this? Questioned Yugura rhetorically. No need to worry, I will bring you back some fruit, said Kushimaru, mocking Chijuro and Mayuri's names. Big words from a chestnut, retorted Mayuri. Yugura, let these 4 battle, me and you will fight one-on-one and you will die, never to be seen again, said Naruto. Such arrogance, said Yugura before charging at Naruto with his pole out. Naruto blocked the attack with his forearm before rotating into Yugura's guard and elbowing him back before fly kicking him away and following after. Looks like it is just us 4 now, taunted Mayuri. Not for long, Yugura will kill that fool in no time, retorted Jinpachi. We'll see, said Mayuri as she settled into a stance, ready for a fight against her 2 former comrades. Chapter 6 for Peace or Revenge. Are you ready to meet your end, Yugura? Questioned Naruto as Yugura slowly rose to his feet. The only thing ending today is this silly rebellion, after I kill you, I will track down the twice-cursed bloodline leader of theirs and wring her neck. With the death of you two, no one will dare try and go against me ever again, and I will bring the village hidden in the mist to glory, ranted Yugura. You are misguided as you are short, said Naruto. Yugura's body trembled with anger, his fists were clenched tightly, almost drawing blood. I see, if you are already resorting to childish insults, I will end this futile battle right now, threatened Yugura in a low tone of voice. Naruto dropped down into his stance, hands to the side of him, fingertips facing away from Yugura. The only one childish here is you, retorted Naruto before Yugura gave a beastly roar and charged at Naruto. Yugura thrust his pole at Naruto's stomach repeatedly while Naruto swayed to the sides in a manner that resembled a drunk before whirling around quickly and sending a mule kick at Yugura's face. Yugura raised his pole and blocked the foot before ducking and attempting to sweep Naruto's other leg with his pole. Naruto hopped over the pole and backflipped before allowing ice to slowly envelop his hands, giving his hands the appearance of sharp claws before spinning and plunging down at Yugura. Yugura jumped back and Naruto drilled into the ground, kicking up a lot of dust. So it seems that you are just as strong as one would expect a cage to be. This doesn't mean you will beat me though, as I still have a lot more tricks up my sleeve, commented Naruto from within the dust. It seems you are not old bark either, however, you stand no chance against me, replied Yagura as the dust around Naruto's form cleared, revealing his ice claws were undamaged. Yes, well, it seems ice won't be a good match for catching you, given your small stature and dodging ability, said Naruto, much to Yagura's ire, as his ice claws receded. It seems wind however has a better chance of hitting you, said Naruto, as his hands were now engulfed in wind once again, ending in sharp-tipped claws. Joke all you want and try all you can, if I really want to, Sanbi's defense will block anything you try, said Yagura in annoyance. You shouldn't have done that. You see, I am truly curious, and now that you mentioned you two have a defense just like Ichibi's host does, well, now I just have to see it to make a comparison, said Naruto, before kicking off the ground quickly and trying to slash Yagura, following an uppercut-like motion. Yagura backflipped and strapped his pole to his back before going through a few quick hand signs. Water style. Exploding water shock wave, said Yagura as a massive 10-meter-long wave of water surged at Naruto. Naruto made a few quick hand signs while thinking earth style. Hidden mole jutsu before sinking into the ground. As the wave slammed down onto Naruto's position, Yagura stood there poised and ready, waiting to see where his opponent would come from. Yagura suddenly leapt into the air as Naruto burst from the ground. You can't escape the wind, shouted Naruto as he slashed both claws up at Yagura, releasing 10 sharp blades of wind that converged onto his position. The attack exploded upon reaching Yagura, hiding him from view. Naruto dropped down to the ground and watched as a figure fell to the ground as well. Once Yagura landed, Naruto saw pieces of coral oozing back into his skin. So that is your special defense, reminds me of Gaara's sand shield, too bad for you, coral can't take the heat, fire style. Fireball jutsu, said Naruto, before a blast of fire roared at Yagura. As the attack met Yagura, steam started to come off it until nothing remained. Foolish, in this village, fire attacks are weakened and water attacks are stronger and easier to pull off. You won't be able to touch me with a simple fireball, mocked the holder of the three tails as he looked at Naruto with a smirk. Well, if that is the case, ice style. Ice spear, said Naruto, before slamming his right foot into the ground, causing a wave of jagged ice spears to shoot out of the ground, seeking to impale Yagura. Yagura stood his ground and coral burst from his body, shattering the spears upon contact. Do you see now? Asked Yagura as the coral receded back into him. You can't touch me, Yagura continued. Really now? Asked Naruto rhetorically as lava started to ooze and coalesce around his hands. Yagura inhaled deeply before blasting multiple bullets of water at Naruto. Naruto skillfully dodged most of them, having to block the few that got to him with his claws, which started to solidify, but returned to their molten state when Naruto pushed more chakra into them. When Naruto was only a hair's breadth away from Yagura, he exploded in a blast of water, sending Naruto flying. Yagura used a water style body flicker to arrive back onto the field, while Naruto's claws slowly crumbled to the ground as he lay face down on the ground. Your fighting style is heavily reliant on your chakra levels, but it must be difficult to maintain nature chakra around your hands without damaging them. You are quite skilled, however, your intelligence in battle leaves much to be desired, commented Yagura as Naruto stood back up. True, my chakra claws do take up a lot of chakra and the control to use them is demanding, but I am a Jinchuriki, you should know we don't run out of chakra easily, said Naruto as a wispy mist started to engulf his hands. Plus, I think you will like these claws the most, said Naruto before vanishing in a burst of speed before reappearing in front of Yagura, claws poised for a downward slash. Yagura, anticipating the attack, had pulled out his pole and held it in front of him to block the attack, but much to his surprise, Naruto's claws cut right through the pole. No, perhaps cut is not the appropriate word to use in this situation, he literally dissolved the sections of the pole he came in contact with. Thought Yagura as he jumped back and observed Naruto warily. Don't tell me your ultimate defense can't stand up to a little acid, if that is the case, you won't be alive much longer. Boil release. Skilled mist jutsu, boil release. Acid swirl, said Naruto as he breathed out a wave of mist made of low pH water while simultaneously having some of it swirl around him protectively. It seems I can't play around with you anymore, commented Yagura as his chakra cloak started to form around him. Line break. Well then, shall we get this party started now? Asked Jinpachi rhetorically. Bring it on, Pearface, shouted Amayuri as she charged up a bolt of lightning between her blades. Tajiro, get away quickly, said Amayuri as she launched the ball of lightning at Kushimaru before raising her swords over her head. Tajiro jumped back as bolts of lightning discharged off the Kiba blades, heading for all near them. Ha, that won't stop me, shouted Jinpachi as he brought down his blade on Amayuri only to be blasted away by chakra that had taken the form of a hammer from Chijiro's blade. Never take your eyes off the enemy, whispered Kushimaru from behind Chijiro, poised to stab his blade through his heart, only to burst into water as a ball of lightning struck him. He doesn't have to, you two haven't changed tactics in years and as such, you are predictable, said Amayuri. Big words from someone not too far from death's door, how is that cough of yours? Mocked Kushimaru as he reappeared in front of Amayuri. It won't be enough to stop me from putting the two of you down, even if it is the last thing I do, commented Amayuri. Chijiro jumped back into the battle and swung his blade down at Kushimaru. Kushimaru swayed to the right, dodging the blade by a hair and retaliated by kicking Chijiro in the chest, sending him flying back before throwing the Nabari after him. Chijiro placed his blade in front of him to block the sewing needle, but in doing so, lost sight of both of his enemies. Chijiro gasped as he felt a presence appear behind him and cried out in pain when he felt a massive object slam into his back before it seemingly exploded, sending him flying away. Chijiro smashed through a tree and skidded through the cold, unforgiving earth before falling unconscious, sapped of all his remaining strength. Tough luck, kid, you were never a match for a true swordsman, mocked Jinpachi. The victory of the two bloodline haters was short-lived when a blade burst through Kushimaru's heart before another blade sliced his head clean off his shoulders. You underestimated me, said Amayuri disdainfully as the body of the Nabari wielder slumped to the floor. You might think that matters, but it doesn't. I always was better than Kushimaru, and with you in your weakened state and your ally down, you won't live for much longer, declared Jinpachi before charging at Amayuri. Amayuri stood her ground and raised her two blades before slamming them into the ground and sending an electrical charge through them, which climbed toward the sky. Jinpachi continued charging, seeking to cut Amayuri off before her technique could take effect. He touched down no less than 10 meters away from her before leaping off the ground. 5 meters, blade raised over his head, victory was surely his. 3 meters, the seals on Shibuki started to glow. 1 meter, the blade began its descent on the unmoving swordswoman. Lightning style. Thundergate, said Amayuri before Jinpachi knew no more. A massive wave of lightning struck everything in a 10-meter radius. Amayuri had weakened it some and shortened its range so it wouldn't hit Chijiro, the same could not be said for Jinpachi though. His skin that was visible was charred and flaking off, blood oozed out of his nostrils and ears as he twitched slightly in response to the electronic charges running through his body. His heart twitched erratically as the slow controlled beating was replaced by an erratic beating, at times stopping for a full 10 seconds before quickly pumping at 4 times its normal speed for a few seconds. Jinpachi's nerves had lost all semblance of control as he vacated his bowels and his tongue fell out of his mouth, literally, the muscles that had been holding it together, destroyed, as when the lightning struck, he had been unfortunate enough to have been emitting a war cry. Amayuri sighed deeply before breaking out into a coughing fit, splattering blood all over her hands and Jinpachi's corpse. Amayuri's form was racked with pain, her eyes trembled in exertion as she struggled to breathe through the harsh coughing. She dropped to her knees, hands keeping her from slumping to the ground as she hacked up copious amounts of blood all over Jinpachi's body. Her muscles trembled with exertion as her lungs burned, oxygen was barely getting into her system at all now. After hacking up another wad of blood, Amayuri shakily got back to her feet, her entire body protesting every tiny movement she made. After a few minutes, she had regained a vertical base and most of the pain had passed, but while her instincts warned her to move, her body couldn't achieve the feat and a thin blade pierced through her hamstring and shot right through it before it was painfully wrenched back out of it. Amayuri fell back down to her knees in pain as she angled her head back slightly, eyes widening in shock. "Miss me?" questioned Kushimaru in a tone full of malice. Line break. Naruto was unknowingly mirroring Amayuri's pose, he too was brought to his knees, not by pain, but rather, by the new sensation of exhaustion. Being the holder of the Kyuubi, as well as in Uzumaki, had given Naruto amazing stamina, but once Igura entered his second cloak state, which engulfed him completely, hiding his body from view, Naruto was hard-pressed to do a thing. To make things worse, all attacks Naruto had thrown had little to no effect at all on him, even a Rasengan couldn't pierce the cloak of dense chakra surrounding the holder of the three tails. If that wasn't bad enough though, Igura wasn't simply standing there and enduring the hits, no, he was launching debris, boulders, trees, his own tails, and at one point, a beastly wave of chakra, which obliterated everything to the west of where Naruto currently was, leaving nothing but a gaping trench that Naruto couldn't see the end of. Damn it, this is not how things were supposed to go. I guess the only reason I was able to stop Gaara was because Gamabunta held Shukaku down for me, allowing me to wake Gaara up. This guy though, I underestimated him hugely. What was I thinking? This is a freaking cage we are talking about, he sent Zabuza fleeing with ease, if what Kakashi said back then is to be believed, and I don't even think I could take on Zabuza right now. Thought Naruto in anger, mostly directed towards himself. I toyed with you too much thinking my stamina and chakra would never run out, I really mucked up on that, but I won't lose here today. declared Naruto as the necklace he still wore around his neck even after being banished started to glow slightly. "I will not lose here," shouted Naruto as multiple spears of wood suddenly burst from the ground and shot at Yugura. To his credit, Yugura dodged each and every spear, but it seemed that Naruto was losing control of reality. "Argoo!" roared Naruto in an animalistic manner. The necklace around Naruto's neck started to glow slightly and started to sink into his skin slightly. "No, stop this!" shouted Kyuubi from within the cage, but it was to no avail as the necklace slowly started to meld into Naruto's very being. Naruto continued screaming so much that his vocal cords were being torn to shreds, quickly regenerated before being torn to shreds once again. Naruto's eyes had turned completely white as the metamorphosis of his body took place. Throughout this entire process though, multiple wooden spears and wooden snakes burst from Naruto's body and the ground around him flying towards Yugura, seeking to ensnare him, to no avail, as the chakra-covered Yugura skillfully dodged every attack. "Whatever is happening, he no longer seems to have any control, I must end him now," thought Yugura savagely as he kicked off the ground with so much force that a crater formed under him. A sickly green, yellowish aura started spinning around Naruto rapidly, logical reasoning was disappearing from his mind quickly as the power continued increasing within his body. "You fool, you are going to tear your body to shreds and kill us both, even with my healing power enhancing your own, calm the hell down," raged the Kyuubi from within the cage, slamming its beastly form against the bars, hoping to penetrate the thick fog that had engulfed Naruto's mind. Yugura appeared in front of Naruto, his three tails held above his head. "Die!" shouted Yugura as he plunged his tails down at Naruto's chest, only for them to be stopped by a wooden dome which partially covered Naruto and stopped Yugura's tails dead in their tracks before exploding, sending the Mizukage flying back. By now, blood was pouring out of Naruto's eyes, ears and nose, but he persisted screaming, no longer aware of what was happening around him, not even able to form coherent speech or thought. "I will not be defeated here," thought Yugura as he transformed. The column of purple chakra shot up into the sky before expanding outwards until it reached 20 meters in diameter. The chakra was abruptly cleared as a beastly roar pushed all of it away, revealing Yugura in his Bijuu form. Yugura brought his tails up near his mouth and started forming a massive ball of chakra, which was comprised of tiny balls of blue and red chakra, which slowly came together, forming a sphere of destruction. Instead of condensing it, Yugura continued to make it larger and larger until it surpassed the size of the Mizukage Tower, a frightening 40 meters in diameter. The ball of energy was already tearing through the ground and more destruction to the landscape was sure to follow once the attack was released. "Bijuu-dama!" shouted Yugura as the colossal sphere of energy was launched at Naruto. While Yugura had been forming his devastating attack, Naruto had continued screaming and his aura had started to darken from a pale moss green to a much darker teal. His hair had slowly started to change color, turning from golden blonde to a pale green with a yellowish tint with a single teal bang hanging down his forehead. His muscles bulged with power and started to tear his clothes, his muscle mass seemingly tripling until it eventually tore through his shirt and turned his pants into fraying shorts. His height also increased by a large amount, bringing him up to a startling tall 2 meters, making him even taller than the tailless-tailed beast, Kisame Hashigaki. His eyes turned completely white, no pupil or iris to be seen. The necklace which had been slowly melding with Naruto's body had now fully sunk into him, leaving only the string to which it had been threaded remaining, as the crystal was now well and truly gone. As the sphere of corrosive chakra was launched at Naruto, he started to laugh manically instead of screaming as he raised his right hand up until it was level with the technique. Naruto's aura started to spiral and condensed around his hand, making it look like a Rasengan was about to be formed, but instead of a swirling blue ball of chakra, a colossal wooden dragon bathed in the same green glow as Naruto was ejected from his hand, rapidly enlarging. As the beastly chakra approached the dragon, it grew immensely, reaching a staggering 50 meters in length and 10 meters in width, completing dwarfing a Peru, a fully grown dragon, in size. The wooden dragon opened its mouth and roared, causing the menacing ball to start to shrink until it was only 5 meters in diameter before the dragon swallowed it whole. Yugura's eyes widened in fear as the dragon opened its mouth, the ball of chakra it had just eaten being launched at him. Yugura wrapped his tails around himself as the blast hit, but immediately after the impact, another, much more powerful force, slammed into him. The wooden dragon had spun around and slammed its tail into Yugura's side, sending him flying to the left before lunging after him and coiling tightly around him, squeezing the very life out of him. The sensation of being squeezed was not all Yugura felt as the dragon bit into him and starting to suck away at his chakra, causing his form to revert back to his version 2 state, which led to him suddenly falling to the ground as the dragon was no longer holding him in place. The dragon as well plunged after Yugura, and upon impact with the ground, Yugura was also slammed from above by the monstrous construct. Naruto abruptly stopped screaming and dropped to his knees, vomiting out liters of blood that had built up in his throat due to repeatedly tearing his vocal cords and throat. After a full minute of vomiting, Naruto passed out in a pool of his own blood. Yugura lay there, barely able to think. Wait, something feels different, it is as if my thoughts have suddenly changed. What happened? Thought Yugura in confusion. Line break. Yugura is dead, commented a masked figure. Oh, is that so? Asked another figure shrouded in darkness. Yes, my control over him broke, he is not much longer of this world, said the masked figure, before disappearing into the hole in its mask in a swirl. Line break. Yugura painstakingly raised himself to his feet and limped over to his opponent. For a moment, Yugura wondered if his fellow tailed beast holder was dead, but the bubbles forming in the blood suggested otherwise, indicating that the figure was still breathing. Yugura bent down and picked the figure up, draping Naruto's arm over his shoulder, ignoring the blood that covered his form, as well as the fact that every single bone in his own body hurt. Picking him up, Yugura slowly started to limp to the position where the three swordsmen and swordswoman were fighting. Line break. I am possible, stuttered Amayuri. Oh, it is quite possible, the brute Jinpachi never did understand what silent killing was all about, swinging around a sword that explodes like an idiot, commented Kushimaru airily. Amayuri looked back at where Kushimaru's dead body had previously laid and noticed nothing there. But how? Asked Amayuri. You disappoint me, how else does one make an illusion appear to be reality? Questioned Kushimaru. Ninjutsu, since when did you know Jinjutsu? Questioned Amayuri. Ah, I see, you were nothing but a brute like the rest of those other swordsmen, using nothing but Kinjutsu, along with Tai and Ninjutsu. Such a shame, it seems none of you ever realize just how effective silent killing can be with Ninjutsu supplementing it. Now it is time to finish this, goodbye Amayuri Ringo, have no fear though, I will send that other boy passed out over there along with you, to keep you company, said Kushimaru, as he prepared to run Amayuri through her heart. Stop, Kushimaru, said a voice from the tree line, to which Kushimaru instantly obeyed. Lord Yugura, I see that you have been successful as well, commented Kushimaru, as he saw Yugura stiffly walk into the clearing, with Naruto slung over his shoulder. To an extent, but that is not the main issue here, said Yugura, as he dropped Naruto's body to the ground near Amayuri, as he stood near Kushimaru. Then Naruto, are you alright? Asked Amayuri quietly. Takra exhaustion, muttered Naruto, eyes still closed. Now that you are conscious once again, I believe it is time to explain what has recently come to light, said Yugura. What about Chijiro? Asked Naruto weakly. No, it is best he not know of this, it doesn't concern him, nor is he mature enough to handle it, said Yugura. Kushimaru, you have served me faithfully for years, and thus I believe it is only fair you hear this as well, what you do with this information is up to you, said Yugura, turning to one of his most loyal followers. Yugura sat down tiredly, while Kushimaru stood close to him, eyeing Naruto and Amayuri, who were in no position to move. Before the start of these purges, I am sure you, Amayuri, and of course you, Kushimaru, knew I was never exceedingly cruel. I may have been harsh and indifferent to lots of things, but I loved my people, began Yugura tiredly. Amayuri went to rebut this statement, but Naruto weakly raised his hand, showing that she should remain silent. You see, about 7 or so years ago, I was confronted by a man. This man, however, possessed a Sharingan, continued Yugura before breathing in heavily. As it was, he placed me in an exceedingly strong Jinjutsu that not even the Sanbi could break, which slowly started to take over my thoughts. With this, I became a puppet for this man, said Yugura disdainfully. His only motive for doing so was this. The village hidden in the mist made me suffer, therefore, I will make the village hidden in the mist suffer as well, and that was that last thing I heard before he took over my mind, revealed the weary Mizukage. So you mean to say you are not the one behind this entire farce of a war, how can we believe that? Asked Amayuri angrily, before coughing heavily and dry heaving some more blood. I suggest you not get too agitated, like me, you are not much longer for this world either. That being said, I spared the life of your friend, and even now had Kushimaru spare your life, isn't that enough proof? Questioned Yugura. Kushimaru stood there impassively while all this was being said, merely taking it all in. Amayuri growled slightly, but then stopped and nodded for Yugura to go on with a small frown on her face. I don't know what his ultimate goal is, but he was powerful enough to subdue the combined efforts of me and Sanbi. He is not to be trifled with, said Yugura, before coughing heavily, wheezing for air. But that being said, I have to say, this war was a mistake, and that the masked man succeeded in making Mist suffer, however, there is something that can be done now, said Yugura weakly. Naruto struggled to push himself into a seating position, but after a bit of a nudge from Amayuri, he was able to sit up. What can we do now? Out of the 4 of us here, you are clearly the strongest, and he beat you easily. Asked Naruto weakly. Not we, you 3. Kushimaru, you have served me loyally, and thus this choice is entirely up to you, whatever you decide I won't hold anything against you, said Yugura. Kushimaru was inwardly touched at how much Yugura valued him, truly, he made no mistake in following such a great man, even if he had been under someone's control for a portion of his reign, Yugura truly was a great man. As for you two though, Amayuri, your sickness is no secret, and Naruto, everyone saw my explosive attacks, it would not be too difficult for you two to pretend you died and train and prepare in secret. The fact that neither of you will leave a body behind should not draw too much attention, given the intensity of my previous attacks, it would not be a stretch if people assume you two were simply obliterated. Kushimaru, whatever you decide, with my death, many will assume you had either perished or fled with me, you three will be invisible to all, hence why I am not revealing this to that boy over there, it would be best that only the four of us know of this, said Yugura, before coughing once again. If this man is powerful enough to subdue someone like you out of petty spite, well, he must have something big planned, and with your death, he will think no one knows of him, you are indeed worthy to be a cage, not just through your strength, but through your cunning, complimented Naruto, seeing where this was going. Lord Yugura, you have my word, I will track down the man who did this to you, to us, to Mist, and I will make him regret it, said Kushimaru. Thank you, Naruto, Kushimaru, I am glad to see you understand what has happened and what must be done, said Yugura, before looking pointedly at Amayuri. What, I am just as dead as you are, does my opinion even count? Asked Amayuri with a fanged grin, as blood trickled from her mouth. Not necessarily, cough, I don't have much longer, but you, Naruto, you utilized wood release jutsu against me in a sub-primal state, you weren't aware of it, but you did in fact do it. That necklace around your neck melded with your very being and empowered you, while I am beyond saving due to the damage I sustained from our fight, Amayuri may still be saved, as her cause of death is an illness, it is said Hashirama could instantly regenerate any damage he took. With you having his necklace and wood style, along with you being a Jinchuriki host, you may be able to save her. Even if you can't access your wood release, the Kyuubi is thought to be the strongest Bijuu and may just have another way, said Yugura. Why can't he save you? Asked Amayuri. Wood style suppresses Bijuu chakra, add to the massive amount of damage I took in the fight itself, well, let's just say I have only minutes to go, said Yugura dryly. However, there is one thing I want you to do for me, Naruto, said Yugura seriously. What? Asked Naruto confused. The masked man said something about Bijuu falling before him, I want you to take Sanbi inside of you as well, said Yugura, getting three gobsmacked expressions, with one being hidden behind a mask. What? Questioned Naruto. Sanbi has suffered enough, and I don't want it at the mercy of ninja, you, as a Jinchuriki, can understand that while we are also given a burden in holding them, they are also burdened in being held by us. Despite this though, if we work together, we are much better off, said Yugura. But I'm not sure how, said Naruto uncertainly. Can you show me your seal? Requested Yugura. Naruto obliged and pulled up his shirt and shakily channeled some chakra, revealing the 8-trigram seal. It seems the fourth was pretty skilled if he came up with something like this, however this works out well, would you know about the 4-trigram sealing style? Asked Yugura. Yeah, but I'm not sure I can pull one off properly yet, I need more practice, said Naruto. That's alright, I have a 4-trigram seal, ironically enough, done by an Uzumaki, she was nice enough to explain how it worked to me as well, so I can do it for you this time, but please read up on them soon, so you can maintain the seal. A 4-trigram seal weakens much faster than an 8-trigram seal, due to the lack of a reversed spin, meaning its life is short-lived without maintenance. Lasting only 5 years or so before breaking, said Yugura, before coughing up some blood onto his left hand and dipping his right finger in it, before drawing a swirl above Naruto's existing 8-trigram seal, before surrounding it with a few kanji. Kushimaru, live well and know that this cage was lucky to have a loyal follower such as you, seal transfer. Said Yugura, before placing his palm over the newly drawn seal. Yugura's body was engulfed with blue chakra before it transferred across to Naruto. Naruto gave a silent scream as the new chakra invaded his system, stretching his coils painfully. After a minute of this, Yugura slumped forward slightly. It is done, said Yugura, before his eyes closed and he fell forward, dead. A strange silence engulfed the trio as two mourned at the loss of a leader and a fellow tailed beast holder, while the third sat there in silence. The silence was broken, however, when Amayuri's form started to heave as she coughed up blood, her very body begun to shake, almost as if it was going to fall apart. Fox, any ideas? Asked Naruto desperately. Why should I help your friend, her existence in no way affects me? Retorted Kyuubi. Please, she has wasted her life in a worthless war, don't let her life end like this, have some compassion. Pleaded Naruto. Interesting, he was almost suicidal and almost completely apathetic only a short while ago, but it seems being faced with death so readily has brought back some of the old Naruto. I can't believe I'm doing this, she better be worth it. Thought Kyuubi. Fine, but you won't like this after I explain what I am doing. For now channel my chakra and bite deeply into her left wrist, said Kyuubi. Kushimaru watched on apathetically as one of his fellow sword wielders died, not having any way to save her, nor the inclination to. Naruto grabbed Amayuri's left arm. Sorry about this, I will explain it later when I know what I am doing, said Naruto, before her let Kyuubi's chakra envelop him, before biting into Amayuri's wrist, piercing deeply into her skin. Amayuri gasped at the action, before convulsing slightly, as a strange feeling of warmth spread through her body. What am I, a masochistic? Thought Amayuri, before passing out, unconscious but alive. Kushimaru, grab Yugura, we need to leave, you don't have to stick with us, but the rebels won't let Yugura rest in peace, said Naruto, before he painfully picked up Amayuri's form, wincing at the extra weight he had to carry before walking off. Kushimaru stared at the back of the blonde until he was barely visible. For you, Lord Yugura, I will get you your retribution, muttered Kushimaru, as he picked up the body of his former leader, before following after his new companions. What if Naruto is banished from Konoha and joins Kiri, and thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys next video.